2026 Litchfield School Board meeting. The time is now 5:30. We'll call the meeting to order and begin with the Pledge of Allegiance. Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right, welcome back. Happy August, everyone. Hopefully everyone's enjoying summer and has some fun plans over the next few weeks while summer's still here before the school season starts, right? August 31st is the date.
We are dialing in.
Here we go.
It's go time for us.
All right. Are there any changes to tonight's agenda from the board?
No.
Hearing and seeing none. Items off consent that the board would like to talk about tonight. All right. I know it's pretty light. The budget season's starting in September, so more to come on that when we get into that. We have the summary of non-public actions from July 8th, 2026. Mr. Carter moved to approve the non-public minutes from June 10th. Mr. People seconded that motion. That motion carried 3-0-2. Mr. Plansky and Mr. Shoemaker abstained. Mr. Carter moved to approve the non-public minutes from June 30th, 2026. Mr. Plansky seconded that motion. That motion also carried 3-0-2. Mr. DeWitt and Mr. Peoples abstained. Mr. Carter moved to approve the nomination of Tiffany Considine as CHS social worker. Mr. Shoemaker seconded that motion. That motion carried 5-0. We have a fairly full house tonight with all the principals, our facilities director in the house. Welcome. Nice to have you here again. And we're going to start off with some presentations and recognitions, and I believe the handbooks.
Yep. So I'm going to have, we'll just do one at a time. So Dan, you want to come first, and we'll rattle through each of the schools. I will put the summaries up on the screen up here for people to see in a moment, but you have them in links right in front of you as well. So each of the schools did a kind of a summary page. Hopefully you got a chance to kind of at least read through the summaries. The principles here are to highlight if there's anything significant in there beyond just updated links and stuff like that, and answer any questions that the board may have related to handbooks. We'll start with probably the easiest one, I'll say.
Yeah.
GMS, not a lot has changed, so you want to just give us a quick overview?
Yeah, I mean, quick overview, it's basically just a few minor language changes, just to basically bring the handbook into practice and align it with policies. So there's a couple policy switches that we had to update in there. And then I'll also just say too is that we recognize that based on some legislation that was passed that goes into effect during this school year, and we're waiting for actions from the school board, that some changes may have to take place throughout the school year, but we'll notify families. And since the handbook is basically a live document, we'll just update it as we need to.
And what actions are you anticipating coming?
I believe that we're mostly in line, but there were some updates to the legislation regarding bullying, so we just have to make sure that whatever the school board, if there's changes to the school board policy based on that legislation, that we may end up having to have some changes. There are a few others that I can't think of off the top of my head.
I'll jump in on that one, and I can tell you a couple of the others that you're thinking of. We just got this week from School Board Association updated language about the bullying policy to include in our policies. You'll see that next meeting. We just didn't have it in time for tonight's meeting.
Okay.
One of the other policies that we will talk about tonight is the record audio and video recording. There's updates to that based upon legislation, so that needs to be accurately reflected in here. Not as much for elementary, but it does still affect elementary. We've kind of joked about this in the past couple of weeks. Eligibility stuff is up in policy tonight that could see updates as well, depending on the board's feelings about that. That when it comes to participation in co-curricular activities. So Legos
Yes.
at elementary school.
Yeah, Legos and Art Club.
Yeah, and those are the big ones that will face updates tonight.
A lot of them have like December 31st, 2026 deadlines and things like that.
One other one we got this week, which one is it? I will find it. It's not really elementary school based though. It's a different one. So once I'm not on the screen, I will dig up my email and pull that one up.
So again, no major changes, but again, after approval, and then with changes to school board policy, that's where it becomes a live, living document that's just updated
Okay.
to reflect that.
And are you hoping for a motion tonight to approve?
Yes.
Okay. Has the board had a chance to review the handbooks?
Not as deeply as I would have liked, I suppose, but just one question on that. What is the change in the telephone and personal device policy?
We just updated it to align with the cell phone policy from last year, and then as we kind of lived it a year, what was in the handbook was a bit more restrictive than actually what ended up becoming practice. So it's more focused on, at least at the elementary level, there's still a prohibition, but there's more emphasis into they should just be kept home, as opposed to anything else for the elementary level.
Any
But
other
if you remember last year
questions?
at this time, we were talking about how we're gonna handle the lockers and things like that, and we still have the locker, but basically, then what we updated, we updated just some language without changing the policy to reflect more, because what we saw actually more at the elementary level was, the definition of like the watches and the communications devices. So we didn't necessarily have the cell phones, but, at the elementary level, there's becoming, I would say, an expansion of, I use the term smartwatches loosely, but they are watches that are that basically are falling under a communication device. So we clarified that so parents are clear. If they send their child in one of those, it counts as a communication device and it falls under that policy. So that's to if they wear whatever Gizmo Gazmo. We're going to ask them to put it in their bag and then not return it to school. So just to extend the language so that is also a prohibited device.
Okay.
So that, I put it up here, that particular language, so you can see it. Dan's referring to the second paragraph up here. It's page 15 of the handbook. It's that bringing that communication device, and I think you saw it exclusively with smartwatches, right? You
I mean,
didn't
that was what we ran into last year, where we had to more so at the beginning of the year, but majority of the calls and the interactions we had with parents was explaining that watch, even though it, can do very little, the little that it can do is considered a communication.
Okay.
All right.
Any other questions?
No. I'll make a motion to approve the GMS handbook.
Thank you very much. We have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker,
Second.
second by Mr. DeWitt. Additional discussion on GMS. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstained?
Thank you very much.
Thank you. Next up, we have Principal Grantham.
My computer can't maintain a battery, so forgive me for pulling my cell phone up here for some of my notes, but fresh.
Sorry, you gotta put it in a locker.
I know. It's bell to bell. Let's pass the bell. So we had very few updates to our handbook this year. We spent a lot of time revising it over the last 3 years. It's going into my 6th year here in Litchfield. Very few things to update. The things that were updated is the principal's letter, which includes information about our therapy dog and our service dog in the building, so that parents are aware. That's right up front and in the very first page of the document, to make sure that if there's anybody with any allergies or concerns, that they can reach out to us right away, right off the top of the letter. We updated our personnel. We updated our links class schedule. Our schedule stays the same from last year to this year. The only change that we added was some verbiage in regards to what the links class entails. So we'll have weeks that there is some choice for kids to pick what they have for that 6-week interval of that links time. And then there will be some time where we're responding to that intervention, as we did this year. It was really successful for us in regards to what happened with our student test scores and supporting students in some areas of weakness. We want to be able to mirror that and multiply that for our students, and looking at more of an area of focus in math as a bigger weakness relatively for our students. We also added new personnel. We added one of the things that doesn't seem like it's a big deal, but in middle school it is a big deal, is there's some verbiage on restricted items. So we've talked in the past about DoorDash and about having things not come in. With the huge influx of fidgets being a thing that every child would like to have, for some kids it's a tool and for other kids it's a toy. We talk about a fidget being a small handheld item that can be kept under their desk. I mean, we were seeing kids come in with I don't know if any of you have seen the dumplings, but the dumplings that are the size of a dinner plate, and having that out on their desk when it's time to be working is really a distraction. So our teachers asked us to include that toys can be kept at home, tools like a small fidget, if they have a small handheld, something that can be kept in their hand under their desk to fidget with while they're working, that's fine, but we want to limit those giant sticks of butter or those humongous dumplings or those things that are on their desk and their Chromebook is dangling on the side as they're trying to get work done. So
Things
just
you'd never
having,
think you'd say at a school board meeting.
I'm sitting here beside myself right now going, really?
yeah,
Stick of butter fidget.
it's a thing you have to see.
It's the thing,
It's a
actually.
thing.
Yeah, they're like.
It's a
arranged.
squishy. It's
Like
it's
different
about
kinds.
this long and about this big around, and
Yep.
they become weapons also with middle
Go to
schoolers.
any
So
Walmart, you'll see signs everywhere that says limit 2 per person.
Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like this.
Really?
yeah,
thing. I'll bring it in
Dumplings.
Cabbage Patch dolls. Oh, next meeting, we should all have one.
You all have a fidget. So we just put that verbiage in there. I think later up in the agenda, we're talking about a possible addition to our course. So we've got mastering the page in there that we talked about last time. That language is in here if, should that course pass, hopefully, which is very similar to mastering the page with no additional staff. And that's pretty much it. We did not have to change our cell phone policy because what we did last year worked beautifully for the middle school. We were not searching backpacks, we were not pulling kids aside, but if they had it out, they'd have to turn it into the office. Kids that coming in off the late buses turned it into the main office, and it was really seamless and helpful for us last year. So we did not have to update that for the middle school.
Okay, that's good. Any questions for Principal Grantham?
Nope.
All right, I'll entertain a motion to approve.
So moved.
I just throw in one point of clarification. I should have done this before you approved Dan's handbook too. Obviously, we're going to talk about policies later tonight, which they're linking to the policies, but just to clarify, we'll update accordingly as those policies get approved and stuff like that.
Yeah, thank you. Motion by Mr. Shoemaker, I will second. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right, Principal Mitchelson.
So I sent a document that outlines all the changes and I labeled the changes by section, so I think that'll help. I definitely had more changes than last year, having been here a year, and really kind of looking through this a little bit more thoroughly. One of the things, I changed the look of it, because that, in case you haven't noticed, I like to have things have a nice look to them. So I kind of had it align a little bit with like the program of studies look. So I kind of listed out like there's annual changes, the calendar, staffing updates, counseling assignments. And then what I really noticed, the document I think was like 78 pages long. So I realistically, knowing like the capacity for people to read through something like that can be overwhelming, even just seeing it. So I tried to streamline places that I thought made sense, that didn't need to be redundant. For example, so I linked policies in different sections because the policy language was exactly what the handbook said, and it didn't include any information that isn't also in other places and isn't, I don't even know how I would explain it, but graduation requirements, for example, the way, like, the policy was verbatim put in the handbook, and I said, well, now we're taking up 3 pages of something that someone can just click on and read through. The specific courses kids have to take are in the program of studies, so that's there. So, like, if you need to know the courses, that's in the program of studies. Student handbook, hey, reminder, this is what the state of New Hampshire says we have to do. Here's our policy, and here's where you can click to find it. I'm happy to put everything back where I pulled it out, but I did go through and list where I just listed the policies. And I also, this is the second year in our new grading system. I think people have a firm grasp of it. Last year, the entire thing was listed in the handbook, again, taking up all these pages. And I said, I think it makes sense to make sure it's like in your face, like, hey, here's all the grading information. Click here and it takes you to the public document that Sarah, sort of operates. I also added some things. So we have to have like a standardized testing and assessment calendar. So I linked that in here so people can look at that if they want to. I've made sure all of our testing information is sort of up to date, who takes what test when. I removed some fluff pedagogy stuff, and really just got to the point. Like, hey, attendance is important, instead of writing a whole paragraph about, yes, we know, like, attendance is important. And so I really kind of just cut to the chase in a few different places. Attendance being one. There's a section on lockers, because we do have them. A kid can get one. There was 2 paragraphs of information on, like, lockers. I'm like, lockers are available upon request. So that's an example of just some of the streamlining and things that I felt really just needed to be cleaned up. Some of the bigger things. So we decided, because in practice, juniors' parents were writing them notes to get dismissed every day for X amount of days. So we really said, does it make sense to just have open campus basically be available for students who may have like a study or may have, you know, that flexibility in their schedule? Right now, it was second half of the year. So second semester juniors could do it, but they were doing it first semester anyway with parent notes. And the process, it's just easier if they're going to do it anyway. I would rather them go through the regular procedure, because we have a very clear procedure for that. The forms that the parents have to sign off on, then we have them on a list, then they have to sign out. It's just easier if they're going to do it anyway. And in the handbook, it's very clear that we can take that away. And we have, and we will, if students are failing, if they have discipline issues, etc. You know, we will hold them back and have them work with the teachers that they're struggling with, or work in the library. So we also noticed that in the plagiarism procedures, not any policy, there was language about using a committee if a student plagiarizes. And we, if I'm being honest, didn't do that. And I don't really think it's necessary. I don't know where, like, historically that idea came from. It included, like, the media specialist and, like, I don't know. I think any kind of situation where a student does something that isn't great, it doesn't need to be made aware. Like, it's not great if more people know about it. So that's kind of where my brain went. And also, realistically, it should be the teacher working with the administration, working with the parents. Like, that's really it. Not like these other people. So I really wanted to get rid of the plagiarism committee. And again, that is only something that I found in the handbook when I searched.
Just on that, was there a committee, I'm speculating, was there a committee set up because of potential consequences of doing so?
It didn't seem that way. I mean,
I had to speculate. Campbell opened in the time frame of like the Sauhegans, the Bedford, the Bows, that all have similar kind of things in place. It's like coalition school language. Sauhegan is like the most famous for it, where like all these type of discipline things were done in a committee kind of basis. In both Jen's first year and the year before when Jake was still here, that's all I have to go off of 2 years. I never saw any of these committees meet, nor do I think they need to. As a principal of a school that was also founded under similar pretenses, Bo, we did away with all these things as well as time kind of went along. I think unless you're going to fully commit to it, and I will say, like, observationally, Sauhegan has maintained to fully committing to coalition school like procedures, right? It gets very mucky very quickly, and if you're not actually doing what you're saying, then that's not good. Like, you need to do what you say you're doing, and if that's no longer like practical, then you need to reflect that in your handbooks and your policies and your language and stuff like that. So, and I think specifically with plagiarism, Jen, you can feel free to jump in here too. This is just my feelings though. The rise of AI has created a much higher frequency.
That's
If we
my
have
question.
to literally pull a committee together every single time we're dealing with one of these issues, we're going to like, that's all anyone is ever gonna do. So like, I think,
But in terms of discipline, I mean, regardless, it's with the principal and with the administration
at the end of the day,
at the end of the day. It's not with the committee.
correct.
right.
And
So
I do think this allows room for like, you know, your classroom-based plagiarism issue of a kid didn't cite properly, right? It allows that kind of like judgmental of like quick judgment. Oh, okay, you just like didn't cite this correctly, Johnny. Can you let's practice citing, right? You can't do this, but like, this isn't an intent to like misrepresent, yeah, it's a learning experience versus anything else.
So, and then I did update, down further in the discipline section, that also was just shifted because the whole language in the part of that discipline chart was based on having this committee. So basically, it's just the first infraction is, you know, they need to work with the teacher, they're, you know, allowed to redo the assignment, parents are notified, administration's there to support, and then like so on and so forth. If there's subsequent issues, then the progression increases. Similar to, I think, Dan, maybe not as much Jen. I think Jen's middle school phone procedures are like spot on for middle school kids and what they need. So as we started to implement our procedures of like the lockers every day, we noticed really quickly, kids figured out, you know, oh, well, my phone's just in my car. My phone's in my car. My phone's in my bag. I don't have my phone. I didn't bring my phone to school. Like, phone's in my car. So, I backpedaled a little on requiring kids to put their phones in their lockers, because at the end of the day, the kids learned that they just can't have them out. Like, they can't have them out. And if they did have them out, we took them, or they were sent to the office, or the teacher can still tell the student, you need to put your phone in the locker. So the lockers are still there. They're still like visible representation of like, hey, you need to put your phone in here every single morning, and that's that. And we did have several kids who had to check in every morning with us and put their phone in the box. So really, it kind of took away like before school, after school, because we really found like that's not what really happened. And I think it worked great. And again, it was just a procedural thing. I think, like Dan said, like we had procedures. I'm glad we did that. You know, and now we, after a year of it in practice, realize like, oh, okay, well, is that really how it all worked? No, it kind of worked like this, and it was fine. The other thing we did, though, we did tighten up language around, hey, if we see your phone in your pocket, you got to turn over your phone. Like, it needs to be out of sight, which means out of your pocket. So I think tightening that up a little bit more, and then making sure, you know, again, the kids understand. I mean, they understood. We did not have a major issue. I was really happy.
Can I ask you a question about the phone thing real quick?
Sure.
Just because I happened to come across 2 high school kids from a neighboring town today, and the phone thing came up. Oddly, in the context of editing photographs, like for a class, and the fact that they can't use the software on their phones to do that, which was problematic, I guess. But they said that at their school, like kids are just like sitting in the bathroom on their phones. Are we noticing that
I've heard that too.
kids are spending extraordinarily long amounts of time in the bathroom?
I don't. I mean, so I sit in the hallway a lot. And I don't think they really are. I mean, am I in there every day, all day? No. But I mean, the days I'm out there, definitely, it's not really an issue. We do have a 10-minute breakfast break every morning. So not for nothing, but like there's times kids might go in the bathroom and spend more time in there anyway, because we have a time.
I think the concern is more during educational time, right? 'Cause I think that was a problem in the middle school, wasn't it?
Yeah, just to speak to that for us, our staff commented on what difference the cabinets made. We didn't have kids that were texting each other under the desk and meeting in the bathroom and spending long periods of time in there. For the middle school, it was a huge difference, and we absolutely saw the difference in the cabinets.
Gotcha.
I think the
If
difference.
I may,
Go ahead.
a year ago, I remember we got some heat because we were one of the harder school districts on all this type of stuff, correct?
All right, come on down off your pedestal.
And now I do think, though, we're seeing the benefits of coming a little bit harder out of the gate, is that we are a little bit further along the path of appropriate cell phone use as compared to maybe some other school districts are.
I think that's true, but I also think there's still opportunity for staff to be able to enforce the policy.
Oh,
right?
sure.
Because I can tell you for certain that there are kids in Campbell that use their phones.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, I listen, and you know what? I think even if we had kids put phones in lockers, because I'll tell you what we did see when we were the first couple of weeks of schools, we saw fake phones, burner phones. a phone case with no actual phone in it, so it looked like a phone. I mean, we saw everything you could think of, and we addressed all those kids.
StarTAC phone came
Right.
out, right?
Yeah, I mean, so I think it doesn't matter what law, what rule, what anything you put into place, people are going to figure out how to not follow the rules. I can say this, none of my teachers ever came to me and said, I am having a problem with phones in my classroom. None of them came and said that they felt like they were an issue. To be honest, the bigger issue is still kids going, and I think this speaks to the fact that they're actually not taking their phones with them in the hallways. They will go for extended little jaunts around town, around the school. You know, can I go to the bathroom? They'll sign out, they'll take the pass that we have, but then they'll stop and say hi to everybody along the way and, kind of get their 10-minute neighborhood walk in. And then all of a sudden, so they're out of class and they'll go into other classrooms and then a teacher will turn and say, what are you doing here? Like, that's honestly the bigger issue we have. So I think the fact that the kids have been great about not being on their phones has now trickled into, well, now they want to go socialize more and go say hi to their friends and go say hi to Mr. O'Connell, because they do. So anyway.
And that's a good thing.
Right.
Come with it.
It's been interesting. So, so again, I think if you read the actual language that we changed up in the handbook, it's still pretty stern with the consequences, and it actually, like I said, kind of further outlines the teacher expectations, what the teachers are going to do, and that you can't, if we see your phone in your pocket, we're going to take it too. It needs to just not be in school. All right, so there's a piece about study halls in there. We linked some expectations in there for students, just to kind of tighten that up. Discipline, again, we just needed to change the plagiarism consequences to align with what we had changed. The shorter locker language, we removed the class dues section that was 7.11 because it's already listed in 4.8. So again, like redundancy, there's already explanation of class dues, and so we just said, why does this need to be in here twice? Co-curricular eligibility. So right now, and that's the policy you're going to look at tonight. That's the way that the policies currently were listed in the previous draft. I want to just link the policies in there, and Tony actually on the side is putting together a co-curricular and athletic handbook. So it'll have the policy in there, but also kind of outline a few other things that's more specific to that. And the reason why I think the policy adjustment came up is because we were going through this handbook, and once again I saw, well, what's this committee?
Yeah.
And I said, well, and I don't like when procedures are tied into policies, because then we have no wiggle room if we need to do something a little different. And that can be, obviously, has pros and cons to it as well. But I think when you say you have to use this committee, and the committee has to have these people on it, well, what if the one person really shouldn't be there? Like, what if, I don't know, anyway, so attendance at co-curriculars, we changed that up. We didn't change anything. It's the same. So students are expected to come to school if they're going to participate. They can't be late unless they have, some documentation, because that was something that was really being taken advantage of. And what we did was the last season of the school year, Tony really tightened that up, and it helped. And so we just made sure that the language was clear in the handbook. Like, you can't just say, you can't just have like a parent excusal. Like, if you're going to not be in school, the expectation is if you're participating in a play or anything, you really need to have, an excuse. And again, there's some gray area so that we can work with families and work with students if issues come up. And probably, all right.
Let's save this one and come back to it.
You come back?
Yep.
Okay.
I just want to open up questions before we get into this one.
Okay.
Is there anything else you want to cover off?
Well, the only other thing, so 11.2, I added I actually put together an application for the early graduation. There's a policy that says what kids have to do if they want to graduate early, but I wanted them to have like an application packet. So like, here you go, you want to graduate early, fill this out. So I put that, so I linked it in here.
All right, thank you. Questions for Principal Mitchinson?
The only thing that comes to mind is about the cell phones. I mean, I have heard rumors about the cell phones at the high school.
Yeah.
And I'm not sure that we're fully addressing that as well as we should. Other schools, and not necessarily one I can name offhand in New Hampshire, have adopted case policies where the phone goes in a case, it's locked when they come into school, and then it's unlocked as they leave.
I think that was the policy for last year.
It was the procedure. So the
Yeah.
policy is different. So the policy has like that we have to have. The policy doesn't have the procedures as like part of that. So essentially we can change the procedures without having to change the policy. But what we found, and again, I mean, I can do the same thing we did last year, and kids are gonna just do the same thing, and we're gonna have empty lockers, because they're gonna say they don't have it, they're gonna say they left it at home, and I tell my teachers, I do not want you getting into a fight with a student because you think they have their phone in their backpack. We're not playing that. That's just, nobody needs to start their day, life, or world off arguing over something like that. And I understand it's the law. We're also dealing with teenagers. And so I can put it back the way it was. I'm happy to do that. I'll tell the teachers, this is the expectation. The freshmen might do it for the first 2 weeks and then realize, well, the sophomores and juniors and seniors aren't doing it, and and some of the kids really do put their phones in their cars. Some truly, I can think of a couple who legitimately never brought their cell phone into the building. Great. Very few and far between. So I think even if we said you cannot bring your phone in the building, like a lot of schools took that approach, kids are still bringing their phones in.
Yeah, I mean,
They're
the goal-
just parents
the goal was off and away, right? The goal was to not be disrupted by cell phones, and so.
And those requests came from the teachers. They came from
Yeah.
the academic side of the world,
Yeah.
not from any.
But I think if we're
disciplinary
achieving that, then that's,
But I don't know that we're achieving that. What happens to the kid that puts a fake cell phone in the box?
but the point is, if they're not on the phones in the classroom, that was the goal, right? The goal was to off and away, right? So
Understood.
realistically, like, whether it's in the box or whether it's in their car or whether it's hidden in their backpack, which we're not going to start searching, it's still achieving the same thing. Now, whether or not they're complying with a policy is,
Not to be the old cranky guy, but this is a slippery slope.
Yeah.
But I mean, what do you
I would like
propose?
to-
What do you propose though?
So
Searching them?
No, not necessarily. But if somebody's cell phone goes off, I think we should certainly take the cell
Well,
phone.
that's
Well, we do.
That's what they do.
Well,
Yeah.
right. But that goes into the procedure, right? The
Yes.
procedure was if they're found with it, it's taken.
Correct.
Period.
That's still in there.
Yeah.
But
No, the procedure was, you put your phone in the locker at the
Right.
beginning of the day.
But I
you
think
get it at
what
the
we
end of the day.
see is
was
that
the
they're
procedure.
not actually doing that.
So then
right.
we need to.
But we
require
can't
more.
But how?
force.
But that's
Right.
that's the $1 million question, and I don't mean to be. I'm not trying to be controversial.
Oh, it's
Like
okay.
Again,
out
there
of
are-
it anyway. But if like I'm a kid and I put my fake cell phone in there, right, like my old iPhone in there, right in the locker, and how are we, the school, supposed to know that's not their actual phone?
or if they don't put anything in there, how do you get down into this policy of, well, it's actually in their backpack without instituting a search policy?
Because even with the pouches, right, kids were doing the same thing. They were
Yep.
putting fake stuff in the pouches, right? And the kids are smart enough to know as long as they never take out the real phone, we're never going to be any wiser to that they put the fake one in the locker or in the pouch or whatever the case may be. So like that is like the $1 million question that I wish someone could solve. How do you ensure complete compliance that kids are locking up their phones there? I just don't know if you're ever going to do it. I think we've seen significant progress in phones being it's not like they're never an issue. Like that's not what we're representing. But I think we saw vast improvement last year at both the middle school and the high school on that being a distraction for kids in the learning environment, right? And so I think we made positive progress on that. It will be curious to see as the kids kind of come from the middle school way of they really are kind of locked up in lockers, And as they transition to high school, if they become less dependent on that phone, right? Like, it'll be an interesting test case with these freshmen who lived through it as eighth graders at the middle school. Like, are they just not used to being in school with a phone? I don't know if that's going to play out because they'll be older teenagers and other things. They'll get significant others and work and other distractions to kind of do that. But there has been progress, and I think we're seeing staff pleased with not having to deal with as many cell phone issues.
From my perspective, right, is it meeting the spirit and the letter of the law, right?
I think it is.
Practice, right, is it great that all kids put them in the locker? Sure, right, absolutely. But if we're meeting the spirit and the letter of the law where phones are put away, right, and they're not a distraction to class or to learning, and that the administration and the staff feel empowered to say, hey, you know, we need to take action because your phone is out, great. We just need that to be consistently followed.
I think there's two things that are going to be, the two further comments I have. One, dating back to last year. I think I never heard of any parent or guardian pushing back on the school administration taking a phone, which is huge, right? So that means we had buy-in from our community, and they understood this was serious. I've certainly, as an administrator, building level administrator, got into arguments with parents because we were trying to restrict phone access from their kids, right? And I think because we didn't really experience, or nothing at least got to me at that level, that's a really, really positive sign. But I think what is going to be absolutely critical, and I know our administrators know this, is we again have to come out of the gate this year strong, right? Like, it
Yes.
cannot be like, we came out super strong last year. Like, I think it was the first meeting everyone had with their kids is to go over the cell phone stuff,
And
and
we'll
the
do
kids
the
knew
same.
we were serious. We got to do the same this year and continue to maintain that, because it's better to go out a little heavy and then back off if needed than it is to try and dig it back. So we have to be really on top of it again.
And the consequences haven't changed. So, you know, the parent notification right away, and then this, if you do it again, well, and we actually pivoted and said, now you can put your phone in the box every morning. So we have kids through periods of time throughout the year, had to check in at the office every morning, had their real cell phone. We watch them power it down and they slide it in and they write their name, and that's where it stays for the day.
So what are you
Because-
doing about smartwatches and things like that? We talked about that a little.
Yep. So the smartwatches also can't be on, and the kids know that. And I mean, again, for the most part, it really wasn't an issue. I didn't hear from staff saying this is a problem, and kids knew, like, you cannot have that on. It needs to go away. And they are just told that. We just repeat it to them. You need to keep that away. Again, I mean, the kids were very receptive and I think responded really well. If I had to guess, maybe a very small percentage, maybe 10% of kids probably really push the boundaries and are spending more time in a bathroom than they should on a daily basis because, you know, and all I can do is ask staff to let me know when kids are in the bathroom too often or too many times. I mean, there's other ways we can track that information that I'm sure could be helpful, but I think we're a small school, so it's enough that I just ask that of staff. And I think, honestly, one of the issues with the cell phones that I just had to keep repeating was the staff piece. That was just as important, is making the staff also comply with the cell phone law and reminding them, like, you cannot use your phone, and you also need to be diligent. You know, and again, I don't want them fighting with kids, but they need to tell.
Anything else on cell phone?
Be interested to see how it goes this year with the change.
Yeah. One question I had on grading, so it's changing topics, and it's not directed at you, it's just more of a general question, so maybe for Dr. Taylor. Right, so in our grading policy, and I was reading this again just to refresh my, it's very clearly an A through F model, but in Power School, we don't have an A through F model. We have an A through an NYM model.
At the semester it switches. Yeah.
At the semester, it switches. In Power School?
Yes.
Okay, all right.
It converts it from
Yeah.
That's
If-
one to the
that's
other.
what-
If you have an NYM, it'll change.
Well, the staff have to go in.
Yeah, they
Yeah.
go in and change
Yep.
it, but.
Why,
this
why
is-
wouldn't the system just have that model to begin with?
Because it's a growth model. Again, the grading system is looking at not zinging the kids with an F and then F is a final, if you failed. So the idea of not yet met is that work throughout the semester, you still have that opportunity. You're not yet there, but let's get there. We can work with you, can do redo, retakes, remediation. But the stored grade, the final grade of the semester or the year is where it transitions to that stored
No,
grade.
I'm actually gonna have to check with Andrea on that one, cause we no longer roll for the semester. So every quarter, your final grade is your final grade. So they're still changing it.
They do change
from
it for
last
the
year?
quarter.
Okay, for the semester.
But in the
okay.
moment, like, so let's just say you don't do the first 2 assignments, you have a 0. Instead of it saying F, it says not yet met.
Yeah.
But then the idea is that you do those and then,
I don't know why we're signaling out F versus a D, right? Because D is still growth, right? I mean, the model doesn't make sense to me. If this is our policy, our system should align to the policy. And currently, like, it doesn't.
I think that's a good question.
Yeah.
I hadn't
Yeah.
viewed it myself, I hadn't viewed it through that lens until you just asked that. And I think it'd be good if we huddled
Yeah.
and talk about this as a group, because that's an excellent question that needs to be answered.
Okay. Thank you.
Because I'm thinking it through the policy lens, that the way we've written some policies
That's,
does not reflect that properly.
that's where I'm
And if
going
we're-
with it.
Yeah, and if
Yeah.
we're gonna do that, then we need to update, all
Right,
that.
we should update, cause I didn't even,
We will come back to that next meeting, it's simple
I
enough.
didn't mean to catch you off guard on that one tonight.
no,
right?
Oh, no, no.
it was a good
Something-
question.
Came up.
That's why we're doing this now,
Yep.
so we have another meeting and then school.
I do have one question about co-curriculars, how grading impacts participation in co-curriculars.
so we are, well, it's in the policy. It will be. It's in the current one. Students cannot fail more than 1 class, and then they're not eligible to participate in co-curriculars. They can regain eligibility. So, for example, if a student failed, say, 2 classes at the end of last year and they want to play football or they want to play soccer, they can retake a class at summer, through the
school
summer, right, and have to have recovered that credit in order to become eligible. But then they're also part of, I think, the procedural stuff is around, missing a couple games or missing a couple weeks to start the season, even though because then what happens to kids during Q1 and they fail and then they can't play the rest of the season? They can't regain that eligibility.
Jen, that's also tied to NHIAA, which,
Correct.
middle school is transitioning to
Get it.
by the 27-28 school
Yep.
year.
So it'll make
So
sense.
it's good for us to be aligned in that policy.
Yep.
Because Tri-County is going away.
Oh, I
It
didn't
is.
know that.
Yep.
Yep.
NHIA is taking it all over. It might still be Tri-County in name, but it will follow NHIA
Okay.
Yep.
policies and procedures.
I think that's also helpful for student motivation too, for middle school students. I think it'll help, students there.
So just on that, does that mean we have to change like all the banners and all that? Like, how does that work? Should we-
That's, that we haven't gotten clarity in, but,
Yeah.
and I do not want to speak, but my guess would be like the league name will remain the same, but the oversight will come
Okay.
from
All right.
NHIA.
All right, are we ready to move to parking? Sure. All right, Campbell Parking.
All right, so on the notes section here, so this is like a multifaceted issue. So we see students every year who choose not to purchase a parking pass and park on Talent Road. And there are people who live over there or other people who are grumpy about that. One of the only parent complaints, one of the only
Pilgrim to get out of the neighborhood.
one of the only like random parent complaints I got this year was about kids parking on Talent Road and what was I going to do about it. So I looked into what I could do about it. I asked the town if we could put hey, can you put signs up? Like who does that? And the town made it clear, oh no, that's the school, that's you guys. You would put the no parking signs up. I said, okay. I checked with the police also and they concurred. So we, the school district, or Campbell High School, I suppose, with, a conversation about it, can put no parking signs up there and can have cars towed if kids want to park there. Thinking about that, we did some research. So if you can see in my note section, we linked Raymond High School, Prospect Mountain, Newfound, and Guilford, all that have similar student populations as ours, and not wildly different communities, while they might be different geographically. So Raymond is $20 a year, Prospect Mountain's $15, Newfound is $5, Guilford is free. So it really kind of had us, at my admin team, kind of going, whoa, like, and we charge $100. So I said, well, what makes sense? And we kind of talked through it and came to like $15 a quarter, because sometimes when kids don't get their license until, November, I'm not going to have them pay for the full year because we would prorate it. And we came up with the $60. I also had checked in with Julie to ask how much money we had in the revolving fund that that has the parking money. It's a student activities account essentially. And it has a lot in there to cover the cost of upkeeping with the parking lot, which I know was done 2 years ago, I want to say. So, and it'll need to be done, probably
Half of it was done.
the whole thing should be done. And I think there's plenty of money in there to do it, when I'll let the new facilities director, get a few other things under control first. But, we can certainly look into getting it done sooner than later. And so in doing the math, we sell over 100 parking spots a year. So quick math, $100 times 100, that's $10,000. So we're still going to be able to add $6,000 a year to this account that has a lot of money in it. And, I just think about some of the demographics of our community, and, some families that, do have some financial challenges, and just also thinking with that lens and being mindful of, what students and families have to pay for in a given year. And that was kind of where it came from. And again, then we were like, well, we better look at other schools to make sure we're not like going too far. But I still think.
So what do you think the parking lot will cost to redo?
So
Just wild guess.
if I had to guess, like if we're just gonna
$500,000, I'll tell you that.
not what?
Not $500,000 like that.
Not $500,000. I would say probably around, it depends on like the level of seal and if they do the cracks, if they don't, what needs to be done on it, if we're doing the lines over, soup to nuts, I want to say maybe 14,000. Soup to nuts. Like that's like talking like the whole sealing it. I don't mean repaving it. So, and that would be probably the front and the back. That's just my not having looked, my ballpark thinking about
Higher
it.
than that, but it's still under what we have in the account. And what we have in the account at my last check was about $50,000. Just to give you a ballpark.
But that's not gonna really grow if we reduce that amount on.
Well,
the parking
that's it,
pass.
right? That's it, right? And the concern that I have is like that account is primed to maintain that parking lot, right?
Which
So-
includes lighting as well.
Which
and stuff
includes
like
all of
that,
it,
yeah.
right? And includes
And it won't
getting
be
no
repaving.
parking signs, right? If we're gonna do that, right?
Right.
We need, like that's what that account is for.
Did you happen to look at Elburn High School?
Theirs is like $10 or 15. It's very cheap.
25.
Was it 25? All right. We tried to stick with schools that were more our size.
Using
because-
AI, right? I asked, and it says we're in range. That's what I'm going off of, right? And I don't necessarily know that it's a problem for us, or if it's a good idea for us to reduce this. I certainly am sensitive to the students and to the families that have that, but that's not, I think, where this is stemming from in terms of origination. We're not doing that because requests came in to reduce. We're doing it because we've identified this internally within the school as, hey, we should reduce this.
I mean, I think it's twofold. I think and we, ticketed cars this year, and we did stickers on people's windshields and, on the side windows. And we actually did some stakeouts to pull kids down who were parking illegally in our parking lot. But it's a good amount of people. I would say 20 plus kids that do it year after year. And we police it and we try to stop them, but right now we don't do anything out on talent. And I mean, I'm fine with keeping the parking what it is. And maybe entertaining if you want to, me or us, or want to think about addressing the issue of kids parking illegally on Talent.
I think either way, the no parking signs on Talent makes sense, right? There's plenty of parking at the high school where every student
Everyone could
should
park.
have a spot, right? And to park on Talent when there's that much availability in parking at Campbell itself doesn't make sense to me.
Right, and I think they just don't want to pay for the parking spot.
So Talon's a town road, right? Or is
Yeah.
it under the district?
It's town.
So
So I'm kind of at a loss for why
that
we're.
area of the side entrance to the parking lot all the way to the edge of Albuquerque, there's houses along there. So how are we gonna discern the cars
Our side.
between?
There's no houses on the right-hand side of the
It's right
road.
on the right-hand side.
Yeah, but still, it's, I mean.
So you'd only need them from the White
You
House
need like
to
three
the
or
street.
four.
You need
Well,
3 or 4
Right,
of those
no,
signs.
no, no.
No, but his point is like someone could be
but-
visiting a
right.
house. and
I
there's no
also-
Visiting the house across the street
Yeah.
from it.
I think we could also get signs that say like no parking Monday through Friday from 7 to
School hours.
2,
Yeah,
7 to
school hours.
2:30
No
or
student
something.
parking.
Well, I guess, but it being a public road, right? If I had someone visit my house, and they were driving down Talent towards Albuquerque, and they parked on that side, so that way they're in the same line of traffic, and they got a ticket, based upon the aspect of the school doesn't want people parking there because they think it's a student. That would be something that I would be.
So
like,
I think
would go
it's a
fight
good
that.
concern,
Yeah.
but we're not necessarily gonna ticket every single time we see a car there. I think when you see it in practice, you notice the same cars.
no,
You know what I mean? So like,
Understood.
if you like, say there's a kid who always drives a gray Subaru, that's what I drive, right? And you see it there day after day, you're like, that's a kid, right? But if you see like a one-off and you see, I don't know, a black BMW, you're like, well, that ain't a kid, So like, but I mean like a one-off, right? Like just like that might be someone who is just visiting a house
Yeah.
nearby and stuff like that. You're not. I think when we get to ticketing and taking those as steps, you've gone through so many other hurdles because the last thing you want to do is to get into a confrontation with a kid about their car. They get very interesting about their cars. So you try to get through as many hoops as possible before getting to that point.
Again, not to be the cranky guy on the board, but if there are 20 kids that we know that are parking there, and it's $100 for a parking pass, you told them twice.
Yeah.
Mom and dad will learn they need to pay the $100.
So,
My
And
mom
I'm
and
gonna go
dad-
back, when the parking fee went in, my kid was at Campbell, and I was horrified that I had to pay for a
So,
parking pass.
I mean, I think we can move the conversation forward, right? So, is the board in favor, the direct question, is the board in favor of reducing the parking fee from $100 to X, right? And X, I think the proposal is 60,
it is, yep.
right? For this coming year.
I am not.
I guess, do we have anything in the capital plan that's gonna use the funds that's in the account this year?
There's nothing identified in the capital plan, but the capital plan doesn't include things like sealing the parking lot.
We can't use
can't
student
use
activity
student-
funds for that
exactly.
type of stuff.
Very specific.
Wouldn't that, okay, sorry.
It's a different, it's not, yeah,
That
has
just
to be
hurt,
used for that.
that just hurts my head, and like taking care of a facility, but, okay.
What do you think?
I mean, I think it really just depends on what the projected, it's really just what is the projected cost of doing the work and at what frequency, and looking at the number of kids utilizing the parking lot, because that fund is really for the cost of wear and tear to the parking lot. It's not for, I would
It's not for
caution,
LMS.
it's not for capital improvement, like
Correct.
beyond
I mean,
maintenance.
call
right?
it 20 grand.
I was gonna
Round
say, I can
numbers.
give you the number so in 2024 is when we did it last, and it was 25,000
For half.
for sealing and lining.
So, but looking at that,
Half
look,
of it.
right, but so looking at that, like, over time, though, at some point, it's gonna need to be stripped and repaved. So I guess, like, we would just need to know, look, what are the intervals at which we're sealing and restriping? What are the intervals at which we're repaving? And does that type of revenue support that? Or, the potential, the off chance that we have to repair, like, lighting to the parking lot.
Well, and that's why I think it's so high, because, if we're sealing this lot every 2 to 3 years, right, you need an account to do it.
Right. But I think that I can't really say what the right number is without knowing what.
Yeah,
what
I
that
would
needs
want
to
to see
be.
the projected, like, cost of having to do that, what that looks like. Right, exactly what Matt was
It was
asking.
25 grand to do half. So it's 50, right now it's 50 grand to do the whole thing.
Just to
And it's gonna
seal.
go Just to
Just to
seal it and
seal it.
straighten
That
it.
was 2 years
Which would
ago.
empty that
Yeah, I was
account.
gonna say, the
Seal
problem
the
is that was 2 years ago.
Yeah.
I'm happy to keep it where it is. And
You may have
and
just
get
opened a can
some-
of worms. It may have to go up to 250.
I'm also happy to like do
Toss a
some
factor into county
more.
enrollment.
Maybe I'll come back
Listening to
next
this,
year with a better
I was just gonna say,
projection.
listening to this conversation, maybe right now we maintain it at $100.
Yeah.
You know, we have a new facilities director, I don't wanna put Zach on the spot, but, you know, part of our whole thing is looking at long-term planning and different things. So maybe we can target when we wanna do the next set of ceiling for the CHS with Zach's guidance there. And then that will help to take this conversation a year from now.
I'd love, I mean, I know there's, it should be done this year, actually, right? Because it's been a few years at this point. And I'm definitely in favor of getting some no parking signs. I don't know what the board thinks.
Yeah, if they're available, no student parking, just like that.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, and then we can focus a little bit more on the kids who are parking illegally this year. I mean, like I said, it's not like we didn't do anything about it, but I think we could do more. And I can have a little bit more information about, you know, how many times how many cars a day we get that are parked illegally, and maybe come back with, if I still feel the need to maybe consider reducing the cost.
And if there's a student that's really in need, right?
Sure.
I mean, let's
Yeah.
have that conversation
Yeah,
offline.
yeah, we can
100%
support.
happens. Don't
We can
worry about
support.
that.
I was just I came at it from an angle of, will reducing the cost help alleviate some of the illegal parking if it's more affordable overall? That was really like my whole philosophy on reducing the cost of it.
Yep.
But I can see the other side, and I'm a big data person, so I'm happy to like collect some data. And you might not see a change come back next year. Or I might say, hey, listen, I did the projections and we can get away with $75.
Great.
And that'll support it for the next 20 years. So,
Yeah, I mean, I think if people are faced with a sign, like now, it's like, okay, am I going to make this active choice to like park in front of this sign? Then, you know, your
And
privilege is.
that still allows the homeowners that live there to have
Correct.
somebody visit them without,
yeah.
yeah. you know.
And it sees the school, it shows the town, right, and the neighbors that live there, that the school is hearing you and we're willing
Yes.
to
And we're
take
good
action.
neighbors.
Yep,
Yep.
I agree.
The folks on Woodhawk, they all have their own no parking signs that they put out whenever there's an event at Dara, so.
Yeah.
It's true.
All right. Well, I appreciate you bringing it to the board.
Yeah.
Right. It's a good discussion to have. I'd be interested in seeing if we're able to get the parking lot resealed, because it's a good use of that money, and getting some no parking signs.
All right, and that was all I had.
Okay.
Like I said, sorry, it was a lot more than last year.
It's all right. It just shows you're doing your job.
Yeah. Very good update. Thank you very much.
Do you want to approve it?
Well, I was going to say, any other questions for Principal Mitchelson before we move to a motion?
I'll make a motion to approve the CHS handbook.
Motion by Mr. Shoemaker.
Do we want to amend that to say that we're gonna keep the parking cost at the same $100 rate?
It doesn't need to be amended. It's already in there at the same rate.
It's.
You haven't adopted the change yet, so you're good.
Yep, it's a draft.
It's a
I'll-
proposal.
Okay,
Yep.
sounds good.
I'll second that.
We have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker, second by Mr. Peoples. Additional discussion? All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
That carries 5-0.
All right, thank you very much.
Thank
I'm gonna
you.
highlight, so I will keep that. All right.
All right. And just on the topic of CHS parking, right? I know there's a lot of lights.
It's on the
It's on the
very
list,
long
okay.
list of things you're chipping away at.
Because you're the
Although I will say for the fireworks,
So you
if
might as
we
well
do
just
fireworks
take
there
it.
again, you need to be able to turn those.
Yeah, we gotta figure out how to turn off the lights during the fireworks.
Gotcha.
Yeah.
Oh, you have to do it, like, it's on a timer, so you have to go in and.
I thought about messaging you.
There's a
but,
circuit
yeah,
breaker
too much
somewhere.
effort.
I actually know where it is. We had to turn them on for something, a late football game or something last year, so I learned where it was, so, yeah.
All right, we'll shift gears into grading. And Dr. Taylor.
Okay, I had Jen stay up. I know she was trying to flee, but the only changes that were really made for this coming year really just were impacting the high school. It was based on lots of feedback from staff and lots of conversations with Jen and myself. And the last summer when we pivoted to the new grading system and total points and the addition of midterms and finals, Jen and I had extensive conversation of how much of a percentage should the midterms and finals count towards a student's overall grade. And since it was it was 5%, because it was a new addition, and we're just getting our feet wet into more high stakes testing and that kind of thing. So 5% didn't take too much of a bite out of the apple. But then that was very quickly realized by students that it doesn't really take a bite out of the apple for 5%. So the change for this year is changing it from 5% to 10%. And it doesn't do like detrimental damage, but it still has more stake in the game for students in terms of, you have to be prepared and study and all of that kind of thing. And are you on that page, Brian? Sorry,
No.
Can you go to CHS terms and grades?
Yeah.
Thanks.
I didn't want to interrupt you.
Yeah, no, thank you. I forgot to direct you there. So, and another thing that we did is we're changing the terminology from midterm and final to end of semester exams, because the semester courses that are offered, it was really difficult to differentiate between a midterm or a final, because for them it is a final, right? So I was at a Unified Arts PLC, and the new music teacher, Ms. Dawson, actually was like, I think she came from Londonderry, and they called them end of semester. I was like, oh my gosh, that's brilliant. So we just are shifting some of that vernacular a little bit, so that we're focusing more on it's the end of the semester exam. So it'll still calculate the same way, but quarter one will be 45% of the grade, with quarter two being 45%, and then the semester one exam will be 10%, and then all will be weighted to get your semester exam. So exactly the same way, just shifting the weights a little bit to account for the 10% as opposed to the 5% adjustment.
Okay.
Make sense?
Yeah, it makes sense. I guess, open question to the board. How do we feel about moving it from 5 to 10% weighting?
I'm fine with it, and I would try to remember back to when I was in high school. I think it was more significant. The final had a much larger piece. It might have been 25% of my grade. The final, which may be too much. And
So I seem to remember it being that way too, but it's a long time ago.
Yeah, I think in practice and kind of seeing this play out last year, right, having a Kate Campbell, I think it worked great. I'm okay with the 10%. I think the challenge is when that is your only grade for the class, right? Because there were some classes where, hey, I have all these other assessments that happen, but they're not being graded, and then so what's reflected in Power School is just the end of semester, end of midterm grade last year, right? And so it was a lot all at once.
That's something
That can
we'll
really-
we'll have
That
to
can
monitor
really
that, 'cause
impact
that-
your
yeah.
score,
Correct.
Jen will
Yes.
make a name.
whether it be 5% or not. When that's the model that
Correct.
the
Yeah, so that's something administration, and we'll have to monitor that a little more closely, because it should not be the only thing that's calculating
Correct.
as part of your grade. Formatives are extremely important, and again, like Ms. Grantham was talking about in terms of like being able to have a kind of a recovery period, and kind of you need to be able to see where you're at in your proficiency before that end of semester.
I'm fine with, as long as it's monitored, right? And
Yeah.
there's more than just, hey, this is your grade for the entire class.
Yeah.
The other thing that I created this summer is kind of a mirror of this, but for the teachers, like the expectations of them to follow this handbook. Because, you know, having done it last year and gone through some things, I said, I think they need just a one-page document, but it has things in it. For example, it highlights, you know, if two teachers are teaching Algebra 1, their grade books need to really be almost identical, plus or minus a couple, maybe little things, but barely.
Right.
So, and it also is very clear about updating grades, when the expectation is that grades are updated, how they should be communicating with families when a grade is updated and it goes south, and the tools and how they should do it. So I put that together.
What is that expectation?
Every 2 weeks.
2 weeks.
2 weeks.
Minimum
Yep,
of
that's the standard, like,
Again, it just needs to be followed.
2 weeks. Yeah, correct,
That's the key.
which were,
Yep.
Is that tied into
Seems like a long time to
the
me.
CBA?
Yeah, but weekends
No,
happen,
it-
other things are happening in the classroom.
Frankly,
I
it's
get
pretty
it, right,
accepted
but-
educational practice. You should update your grades every 2 weeks.
Every
not
Right, but I'm just thinking like if you have
Standards
people who are
and,
not
over.
Oh, I
complying with
think
that.
that in terms of, it's not outlined like that in the CBA, but it's an expectation that we make clear to teachers. So if they're not doing that, then yes, there can be, you know, consequences in the sense of like, you know, being written up or being spoken to about it, whatever the case
And I
may be.
feel
I'm
like-
just wondering what the basis is, like what the actual.
I feel like it's embedded in the like educator code of conduct
Yeah,
and
that you're
and
keeping-
policy about like accurate records, maintaining accurate records. It is actually part of our evaluation system, like the professional responsibilities. It's in there. It's under.
Yeah, I just want to make sure there's actual teeth behind it, like
I think the
enforceable teeth behind
The
it.
challenge that at least I saw again on this, right, is more at the middle school level and less at the high school level. But it's, hey, you know, now a teacher's entering grades 2 weeks later, whatever it might be, and your grade tanks, right? Oh, I don't remember what I did, right? And so you're having that conversation with your students, and they're trying to recall what happened 2 weeks ago
Yeah.
and why that's the grade they got. So, anyway.
All right, so, and then the only other change, so if you want to go to the senior exam exemption, so there was lots of conversation around this, because especially after the first semester, it was last year, midterms came around, and there was a ruling in the handbook that seniors did not have to take the midterms if they were getting a 90 or better, and there were a lot of phoning it in during that period of time. So there was a lot of discussion with teachers around this, and I talked to not only the UA teachers, but I talked to all the content area teachers, and everybody was kind of having similar situations. So we got together and talked about the seniors are going to have to take the semester 1 exam, so that they have, you know, they follow all of those courses, they demonstrate mastery and all of that. But the semester 2 exam, you know, we're still gonna honor like kind of some senior privileges, and that exam sometimes, like this year, happens after graduation.
Yeah.
Already occurred. So semester 2 exam, it just doesn't make sense. So you get that kind of, still you have that senior privilege to not take the semester 2 exam, but you have to take the semester 1.
So then how does that influence the 10% grade for the seniors?
That is something that I'm working with Andrea on to see what that does and how we can,
Are we just
do
giving a
some
free pass for
stuff.
10% of their grade?
Right, so that we
No,
can
yeah.
do some stuff on the
No.
back end.
But you
and-
do, there might be a better way, but like what you can do is you just override the final grade with what
Yes.
their current average is, so it doesn't affect their average at all.
Yeah. And my understanding is if you don't put anything in there, then
Yeah, you can exempt the absence too, depending on how it's
Right.
set
Yeah.
up physically in Power School.
We did it this year.
If you can make an assignment for a particular kid.
It just wasn't
exempt, and then it's just not factored into the
right,
overall
because
grade.
it's
So it won't.
the semester exam grades are entered into Power School as a separate quarter, basically, for lack
So
of a
you-
better term.
Sorry, so you can zero and exempt it.
Yeah, you
You're
can.
not taking it.
Right,
Uh,
you don't even have to.
I'm assuming because I don't want to speak with 100%
Yeah,
clarity
you get
because I haven't entered grades in this version of Power School, but I use Power School as a teacher.
Yeah.
If you didn't want something to count, you just didn't put anything in, double dash, it won't be factored into the
Correct.
averaging.
Because it counts as a whole separate thing,
All right,
so.
good.
But yeah, those are some things that we are working on, but those were the only two, changes to the grading system for this year.
Okay, and then we'll look at the NYM part of the discussion.
Yeah, I
from earlier.
wrote a note down to look at that. Yep.
When we talk about NYM, are we gonna be talking about zeros?
So we do have, zeros.
It's a 0 to 64.
That, yes, the scale is definitely something that I had a lot of conversation about last year, if people remember. I was on a soapbox for a little while, in terms of how, from 0 to 64, you can be an F. Or, you know, and then a D is a 65 to 69, you know. But I definitely think we should look at the alignment with policy and how we're doing things. So we'll come together as a team and look at that and then come back.
Okay, so are you looking for an approval tonight, or do you want to come back to us in a couple of weeks?
In light of this, I think we should come back
Okay.
in a couple of weeks, and so we can really make sure that this is exactly what we want it to be.
Okay.
Before we leave it though, are you comfortable with, we'll revisit the NYM stuff, but be comfortable with the other changes, just so we know.
Yes, I'm comfortable with the other changes, including the change to the semester exams, et cetera. Yeah.
I am too, but I
Board-
do wanna talk more about if somebody doesn't turn in work and gets a zero. My opinion, a zero is a zero.
Right now, a 0 is a 0.
It's not. It says, it talks about using judgment when entering scores below 50.
Yeah, so you still want people to think. So like if you're like entering a massive assessment, right? Like, and you, like, just think about what you're putting in and what the domino effect is. It doesn't mean don't put it in, right? Like, stress this to teachers all the time. Think about the math that you're using when you put numbers into your system, right? If you put a 0 in for an assessment that represents like 15% of the kid's grade, that's different than putting a 0 in for a homework that represents less than 1% of their grade, right? So then what is that? That doesn't mean don't put the 0 in. But like once you put that 0 in, that kid's grade's gonna go,
Correct.
right? And then what is the domino behind that?
And that's the consequence of
Right,
not
it
doing the
can-
assignment.
Right,
can
and
they
And
cover-
that's
we're not
part of
trying
our
to
problem
not
today.
give the consequence, but sometimes we have to remind everybody that like these can have big swings, right? Like this gets back to like why we should keep our grades up to date, correct? Like if you're dumping in a ton of grades, like in one instance, this kid who's been an A might fall all the way to an F, and then for the sake, ignore the student, no offense, ignore the student for a sec. You as a teacher, you got some answers. Why is this kid, you're making your life challenging, right? You want the grade to accurately reflect the abilities of the kid. On the flip side, if you know a kid is like, let's say there was a death in the family and the kid missed an assignment, right? And they didn't turn something in, right? And like, you can put that 0 in, but like, is that good in that moment for that kid,
Yeah,
right?
I think
Like,
there are gonna be circumstances like that, but I think
Correct.
if it's just Sally didn't turn in their assignment,
right.
it should be a 0.
Which
So the-
teachers
this-
are doing.
Yeah, that does happen.
But what we
Teachers are
want,
doing
what we
that.
want to stress over and over is just these grades have real consequences. The numbers you put in have real consequences, right? Like, and if you know that this kid is passing in something late and it's like 90% done, like, and you're gonna get it the next day, maybe you don't rush to put a 0 in right away, because you might be setting up a different type of circumstance, right? Just think about the grade before you put it.
Well, I'm hearing two different things. I'm hearing what you're talking about is like the timing of entering something.
But understand the real math, like this is, again,
But
math
the-
is my background.
Right,
So, like, I
but
get
it's-
frustrated when people don't understand, like, how drastically these things can weigh and sway and like swing all these different things around, right?
But-
Like how, like, oh, I give this 100-point assignment, but the rest of my points total up to 50, so this thing's like 2/3 of a kid's grade, like, you gotta be conscious how you're grading this and how you're putting it into a system and everything like that.
Yeah, I
So-
think it's a matter of understanding consequences, I'll call it loosely, right? So as you enter it, but yet if that kid's subject to a retake for whatever reason, and that retake is still happening within that 2-week window, that could impact the grade to a positive.
Right. But I think what Peters was a pretty Peters just stating black and white, like if someone just blows off an assignment, it should just be a 0.
Correct. And I think there was this mindset, and there's a good side to this argument and a bad side to this argument. I don't want to get into the argument, but like there was definitely a belief system that like because of the way that the grades are kind of distributed, they're not an even distribution, right? Like it's 0 to 64 and so on and so forth. Like, would it make more logical sense for a kid who's failing to be capped at like a 50, right? Like the lowest F, as long as you have done some work, the lowest grade you can get is a 50 on something like that. There are pros and cons to that argument. I'm not making either side of the argument right now, just clarifying, right? I get back to it as like, just think about the grade you're putting in, right? Like if you just think about it before you put it in, you'll find the right answer, because I can't justify a kid who's done squat getting 50% for a grade, right?
But if you're giving them a 50 when they have a 0, that's a participation trophy. It's
And I-
not the truth.
But I think like, you know, again, I don't want to get sidetracked because this is a whole philosophical thing.
Yeah,
What we're
that's-
trying to get away from, it, what we want to represent, if you do nothing, you're not going to get anything, right?
Right.
You're going to get a 0, so.
I think that's.
All right,
that's-
so we're gonna bring back the grading, to our next board meeting, and we'll talk about the NYM policy updates, et cetera. Then, okay, great. Thank you.
Thanks, Jen.
Thanks.
All right, we have our first community comment on agenda items, tonight. Would anybody like to address the board for community comment? I don't see anybody from the community here, just staff. So I'll close that, and again, there's a second opportunity if anyone's watching and cares to provide perspective on what we're talking about tonight. The second one will happen around 8 o'clock, or once we get to that agenda item. All right, I'll turn it over to Vice Chair Plansky for correspondence.
So full disclosure, I blew up the chart in the agenda, so this is sort of semi-handwritten. On the 13th of July, Jan sent out the meeting minutes. On the 15th of July, we got a letter from Noel's Tree Farm regarding work being done by the check committee, which is trying to determine what we can do with the land that used to be the circumferential highway. On the 27th, Superintendent O'Connell sent out a note about an overnight field trip. Has that already happened?
Yeah.
To the board, and I think we had enough responses to approve that.
Yeah, I'll touch on it in a few minutes.
And then the 29th, we had payroll manifests from Ann. On the 30th, 2 accounts payable manifests. And then on the 31st, the tonight's meeting agenda from Renee.
All right, thank you very much. Any other correspondence the board members have received? All right, I'll turn it over to general business and Mr. Peoples, Representative Peoples in this capacity.
In this capacity.
What's going on?
As you know, the legislature is on summer break for the most part. There's not a whole lot happening. The governor has been signing some things into law, HB 1300, which
I'd be quiet for you guys. It's not for us.
everybody's been hearing a lot about. And interestingly enough, I got appointed to the new committee, the Statewide Education Improvement and Assessment Program. So on the 17th, we're going to receive the 121-page report from the task force on grading and assessments.
Wow.
So I know the commissioner's got some ideas, and they've got some plans, and we're going to be looking at what legislation it's going to take to put that in place. So stay tuned for that. That should be interesting. Other than that, I have nothing.
Okay, great. Well, certainly as we get into the season, as you come back to session, we'll look forward to more updates.
Well, a session starts in January, so right now we have election. Veto day is allegedly going to be August 18th. That's the day that any bills the governor has vetoed come back to the House and the Senate to see if we can overturn her veto.
Okay.
So it's tentatively scheduled for the 18th, and
That sounds like an exciting day.
yeah, well, it's awful early. We usually do in October.
Okay.
So we're all confused of why it's so early. A lot of people are on vacation. You know, when you take, this is not a good time to be calling everybody back to the house.
Yeah.
So,
All right, thank you for your updates. We'll turn it over to the superintendent, and we'll welcome Zach up to the hot seat.
Yeah. I'm going to welcome Zach Hurley, our new facilities director, up here. He's been on the job for a little over a month now, and I just wanted to formally introduce him to the board and let him share a little bit about himself. And he's been doing an awesome job, like hit the ground running. This is probably the worst time to start as a facilities director is like summer.
Everything's broken.
Billion projects. We keep trying to tell him it's not going to be this pace the entire year. It does like slow down. There's
Starts
different ups
on
and
May.
downs.
Well, I mean, first
Memorial
off,
Day weekend, it slows down a lot.
welcome, right? We're thrilled to have you here. Excited to meet you finally, and looking forward to all your updates. So we appreciate what you've been doing so far, and looking forward to seeing what you continue to do in the district.
Excellent.
So if you just want to share a little bit about yourself, Zach, and what
So,
you've seen so far.
I'm originally from Hudson, went to Alvin, graduated 2009.
Don't worry, it gets better. Now you live where?
I live in Litchfield.
Jeez.
Moved here in 2020. And just kind of been all over, done a little bit of everything. Worked in Nashua at Gate City Fence, so I got fencing background. Went to the Marine Corps, did a lot of HVAC in the Marine Corps. That was my job, a refrigeration mechanic. Got out, worked on air compressors, worked for a commercial door company before I came here. Always wanted to try and, I've always been trying to better myself. So that's when I saw this opportunity, said, throw my name in the hat.
Yeah.
And here I am.
Love it.
So, done a little bit of everything. So I have a good background on a lot of construction side, HVAC side, and then air compressor stuff.
So
as
what's
well.
been the top kind of focus since you've joined over the past month? What's
That would be
big
the
priority?
CHS lack
AC?
of air conditioning.
I suppose that fits right into your background.
Yeah, so I've gotten some numbers from two companies that we've used. One company I am kind of no longer in contact with. They overcharged us on some billing hours and took care of that, and we will no longer be associated ourselves with them. As far as that goes, I'm waiting on Jolt Electric to give us our third set of numbers for some issues to be repaired, replaced for Campbell.
Okay.
Outside of that, so obviously know that's a big issue. Outside of the air conditioning, Campbell's looking to be finished up custodial wise by the 21st, along with all the other schools. So we're looking in good shape before the teachers come back. All the main areas will be done. As far as LMS, I reached out to Ryan to see where, and I know Jen could shed light on the parking lot, but we should be completed paving and paving for sure done by school time.
Okay.
As far as lights go, I know we had to bring Jolt in to do the lights for us. Might not have lights, but I know Ryan said he would leave some lights out there for us so that the parking lot's not dark.
Yeah.
Speaking of lights and LMS, we're also working on the light system in there. So the company that put the light system in no longer exists. And I know Brendan, our IT department head, has got some access to the computer. We don't have full access to the computer. So we don't have full access to adjust, control all the lights. So that might be a future something to budget for as well, is to get maybe a new system in there so we can control these lights, because we don't have 100% access at this time.
Okay. I want to dig into that one.
Yeah, and I know, and then Jen will also be able to shed light on that. She's had, his name is Pete, correct?
Pete from Liberty, who did all the install, he knows a lot about the inner workings of what happened and where we are currently. So he said it on the training. with Dave and myself back, gosh, now 5 years ago.
Yeah, it's been a minute,
On
yeah.
the lighting system. So he has some of that knowledge and no longer works with Liberty. He has his own business at this point in time. He's come in to help a few of the troubleshooting that we had over the course of last year, did a great job for us. Yeah,
So I think what's great about Zach is coming in with a new set of eyes that allows us to see things from a different perspective. I think Dave, who's replacing, did a great job for the district, years and years of service and dedication to the school district, and we thank him for that. But sometimes it's good to have a new set of eyes so you can identify issues, not that Dave didn't, but just like maybe has a fresh perspective on how to
Agree and
address.
agree, back to the lighting, right? Right. I mean, that's a fairly new system.
Yeah.
Right, and I do remember the discussions about this being kind of centrally maintained and monitored, right? But we have to have access to that.
Well,
Let's start this. What's the issue that we're trying to solve?
Getting access.
so do you want me to?
No, but there has to be, like, besides access, is there an issue with lighting in the building?
Yeah, we're having a particular room that's not functioning correctly. So as we're trying to address that. We may have solved it temporarily, but but it opened our eyes to the larger issue of not having the full access that we need for the system, right? So it shouldn't have taken months on end to resolve a simple issue of like the light's not working correctly in a room, right? Like it should be either IT or facilities, depending on the true nature of the problem. Is it a tech issue? Is it a equipment issue? Get in there, fix it, move on, right?
It's a policy issue.
well,
It's a policy issue. We should have a hard line policy for turnover any technology. That we have all the master passwords, we have access, it should be tested.
so I can, okay, first, Jen, you go, because I have comments on.
I appreciate everyone's concern with this. I don't want to lose track of the meeting with a light issue at the middle school. No offense, I don't want to take any offense to this. We need the company that was running it shut down, and like, we need to get access to the system.
I understand.
There's no
I'm
system
seeing
to
a
go get the
larger
access.
pattern with several of these centrally maintained systems that we
It's
contracted.
incredibly
Like Johnson
frustrating.
Controls, too.
It's incredibly frustrating,
Well,
and this
but-
is,
Expensive.
yeah.
So, but when we go to do these projects, right,
Controls.
this type of stuff should be in the contracts that we have with the general contractor, that at part of sell-off is we get full admin access. The fact that we don't have that, and that's not in the contract language, and frankly, going back to our lawyer, who should have been looking at this stuff. Like, I'm kind of surprised that's not in the contract.
Maybe it is.
What we have.
Very well could
And to
be.
be fair, that could be just a turnover issue.
Could be.
But it doesn't.
So I'm trying to put all the pieces together. I kind of came in a little bit blind. So
Yeah.
I'm trying to formulate all the pieces, get everything, get all the information I can to assess the situation and see where we're at. So, I mean, I went through the office and pulled every piece of paperwork, and there's still gaps
Yeah.
to where I'm missing out on things. So, in that aspect, I'm trying to fill these gaps, get all the info so that I can come up with a good plan and have a good starting point on where to even look at some of these certain situations.
We should have a boilerplate policy, though, that gets inserted in every contract for a turnover and what's expected.
Maybe
far
there
as-
is. I mean, without seeing
far as
contracts, I don't know.
Huh?
Maybe there is.
Maybe we should review it.
Maybe we should review it.
Dan,
Right.
when we, like a long time ago, we were looking at everything, we kind of got dragged down the school dude rabbit hole of like, that's how everything was being maintained. Where did we land on like all of that stuff? And then obviously, like, has that all been,
So, I mean, I know, Brian, you shifted
We got rid of
a
school.
lot of that
Got rid of
stuff.
school dude.
Got rid
Away
of
from
school
school dude.
There was multiple issues with school dude. To summarize it, we weren't using it correctly.
right?
And to use it correctly, we would need to invest an incredible amount of money to get up to date with
Yeah.
it. And frankly, we can do it cheaper. Now, I won't say better, like, because if you're gonna use school dude to its fullest extent, yes, it's a great system. The reality of getting everyone trained and able to use it at that capacity was slim, right?
Right.
So we made a decision to
cut that very high cost, do our own internal system. And I think we're seeing success with that. It's Google Forms, like it's not like the fanciest thing in the world. And we're seeing success with that in being able to identify issues and then follow through. The facilities department for Zach, and as Zach has continued, has a nice system where they review it. When we were between directors, the emails were coming to myself and Julie and some other people. You could see the system and work. It was working perfectly. Issue would get resolved, it gets crossed off, you get an update, so on and so forth. I'm sure Zach will tweak that a little bit as he comes in to make it make sense for him and his system, or maybe not, you know what I mean? But we've kind of addressed that. I think what we're seeing is continued frustration with the results of the middle school renovation. I don't know how else to say it.
Yeah.
Right, like,
Yeah.
and.
Well, we're aware of that.
Like, I don't, my issue is not placing blame on anybody, because, I remember my first week on the job, I had to sign a ton of documents saying that project was done, right? And it felt weird because I was not around for any of that project being done, right? Like, and I hope we learn from the lessons of that project as we move forward for other facilities things.
So
right?
the reason why I went down the school dude path though is because I just want to make sure. So part of that was not just ticketing things that needed to be done. Part of that was overall like a master repository for all of our infrastructure and what needs to be done and when. And I know we did the
Preventive maintenance.
we did the reports on that stuff, but I just want to know like if we've got something in place or if we're going to put something in place that's going to be a more central repository of all of that stuff, which included, I mean, we were talking about like School Dude could handle like, you know, warranty information for systems and stuff like that.
Yeah, it
Yes.
had a ton of modules.
I think that development is ongoing.
Yes.
Right.
Okay,
And-
because he's coming in and looking at all this stuff now, I want to make sure that that's on his radar.
And I think that's gonna be a big part. I mean, I think one of the things we talked about as we were transitioning to a new director is ensuring the new director can do not because Dave was not capable, this is not a judgment on Dave. I wanna be careful with this, cause I really appreciate the work Dave did, just not bashing Dave. But I think one of the things we noticed, at least, is too often Dave was stuck being in the field dealing with fixing problems. And we need the director to be a director and do this type of things. Organize what we're doing, having these contacts with these companies, really sorting through, this quote is not an appropriate quote. We need to go to a different company. This system is not working. I mean, Zach's already talked about shifting some of our preventive maintenance, well, some of it doesn't even exist, but like establishing stronger preventative maintenance practices that will allow these issues to hopefully not crop up in the way that we're seeing them right now.
Just extend the life of the things that we already have that are working, so
And
that
I-
we don't have to budget for X amount of dollars in 3 years because
And
we're not taking care of the stuff we already have.
And extending beyond that, we have a fully staffed grounds crew right now, which is huge, right? We've actually had some extra kids this summer because we were able to do some summer help that we usually do for custodial and grounds. And we haven't had full grounds in a long time, right? We are almost full on custodian, right? I think we're one position short right now, which helps, right? And by able to fill those positions, it now frees up the director to do directing, not necessarily filling the gaps of everything. So we need to continue down this path and make sure that Zach is doing the facilities director job, not just like to fix the problem that arises on any given day job.
The goal with the custodians is to not use any outside cleaning companies that you guys used in the past. So we're,
Out of necessity, yes.
yes, we are very close to achieving that already. Like Brian just said, we are in the process of hiring a second shift custodian for GMS. And there's still a job listing for LMS second shift custodian. And then fill that one spot and we will be full custodial wise.
Great. A loaded question that I don't want to get into, but I just want to know the answer on.
Can't wait to hear this one.
I know that we have parameters.
HVAC at LMS, how are we looking?
So HVAC at LMS we have had no major issues with HVAC. And when you say HVAC, you are talking about something specific.
There's one particular unit on the roof that has caused us quite a bit of heartburn since we put it in, right? So specifically, right, are those units being Are they working appropriately? I seem to recall, I've been on that roof, right? I seem to recall filters that Dave needed to change quite often in these systems to maintain that, maintain its.
So one over the calf, yeah.
One over the calf, whatever it is,
that's
right?
the
But
one.
but all of them have certain filters that need to
Yeah.
be changed. Like, how are we doing with that type of maintenance?
So that is where I'm trying to work at getting either a contracted work so that, one, our custodians don't have to worry about, or even not trying to take work away from myself, but also so I can focus on other things. Have a company that's visually coming in 2 to 3 times a year and inspecting these units for us. And then when doing that, change the filters. Because we have stockpiles of filters in every school. So whether right now I have to take over that situation, because I don't want the custodians to have to worry about that, because that's not what the custodians need to be doing, is changing filters on the roof.
And I would say this speaks to the preventative maintenance of it, right?
It does.
Rather than-
I just-
That is a.
All this is
predictive.
coming back to me now, like, wait a minute, we have all these new systems, newer systems now
Right.
on the roof, but I directly remember these conversations with Dave Ross saying, hey, they all need filters changed.
Right.
Like, often, whether
So
it's once a month
rather
or
than
quarter, I don't
wait
know.
till there's an issue and then the
Oh, yeah.
custodian go change the filter,
Mm-hmm.
by getting on a preventative maintenance plan with people who specialize in this, right? They will come in automatically and take care of any issues while they're doing the filter. And that's that shift in that mindset we're trying to get to, right? Is like that preventative maintenance, specifically HVAC. I think one of the great things, Zach has connections in this field from his background with it, right? So he's very knowledgeable about it. When he approached us with this idea a couple weeks ago, you know, of the filter thing, and this, it was like, yes, that sounds great, go with it. You know, like, start getting the pricing, we'll do it in the budget process and propose shifting to that type of model and stuff like that. So, yes, that is at the heart of what we're trying to, it's a good example of what we're trying to achieve, that kind of preventative, true preventative maintenance for our facilities.
So my goal would be to have, it's HVAC, heating, ventilation, and air conditioning. So there, I want one company for all 3 schools. I don't want to have to deal with 2, 3 different companies trying to get it in, or service guys, whatever. I have one company, they're either contracted through a written contract with T&M, whatever the case may be, whatever makes the most financial sense for this district. But to come in 3 times a year, like pre-spring time, get the filters done, midsummer if we're having a hot summer, change the filters, and then right before the winter starts, they're running through the boiler systems and making sure they're good to go for the winter. So that's my ultimate goal, is to have that situation. And that's what I'm working on, getting those numbers.
Gonna put that out to competitive bid?
I mean, right now, I've gone through 3 companies and tried to, and
Yeah, we're
working on
following our
getting
policies
numbers.
when it comes to bidding and stuff like that. We're following our policies when it comes to bidding.
So, just a question.
The other thing, and I'm keeping you longer than you probably
No,
want to be here. but
perfectly fine.
I'm sorry about that. But, you know, what's going on with the irrigation at Campbell?
Great question.
So as of right now, we've had 2 leaks fixed. Our ground maintenance just brought another leak to my attention, and I asked him, I said, hey, is this something you're capable of fixing? And he goes, he was unsure because of where it was located. It was at a shut-off point. I said, okay, contact the company that we've been using, which is Ground Gobblers. And they kind of been giving him the runaround, so I've kind of had to step in and try and nail down where they've been. They were supposed to come 2 weeks ago. So kind of had to step in again in that situation, and they should be here Tuesday of next week.
Okay.
And there's a few heads that need to be replaced that have solenoids. And then they're reconfiguring our system again, because they did it the last time they were here and it's already not working again. So that's where that's at. It's all the leaks are, major leaks are fixed. There's a small minor leak. It's not a massive leak by any means. It's very, very minimal. And then just getting some heads replaced, and then we should be all squared away.
Okay, thank you. Yep. Another company I think we've used in the past is Granite State Irrigation.
Have you ever, I know there's Proscapes is right in town as well.
Proscapes is in town too.
So I was
We're on
gonna,
talent.
Yeah, there's
so I'm waiting for Monday. I know Ann's on vacation this week, or not in, and trying to make sure that we are not contracted with Ground Gobblers before I go out and reach out to someone else. But Monday I will get that info, and if we aren't contracted, I will be reaching out to other irrigation companies.
Okay. All right. Well, thank you again for all of your work.
No.
Right.
Not a problem.
Thank you.
I'm a little nervous for the budget season, I think.
I don't think you have to be, well, you
Well,
should be nervous for others.
Well, here are the things that I'm forthcoming. Like, I'm sure that I've never seen a lawnmower in our budget or maintenance or anything, right? So I'm assuming as you're getting into this, you're starting to come to a point or an opinion that, hey, some of this equipment's probably time for replacement.
Yeah.
As far, I would say I can shed light on that a little bit. Our lawnmowers are in pretty good shape. One of our student helps is Ivan, right? Been a massive help for us. Massive help for us. Just in maintaining our machinery. As far as the vehicle goes, that's kind of where we're kind of
Trucks,
shifting,
yeah, sure,
shifting
yeah.
towards not even necessarily the utility van, more of the dump truck, because that gets used significantly more, especially for dump runs, trailering the mowers to the different schools. So I'd be leaning more towards that in the near future. It's going in for service in next week, so we'll kind of have a better idea of what that entails.
Okay.
But as far as everything else, just trying to put all the pieces together and try and make the best decisions, trying to get the schools up and running.
We appreciate it. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks.
Great update.
And Principal Mitchinson, I like the banners on the posts at Campbell as well, right?
Finally were put up.
Yep, that's great.
They look wonderful.
They do look wonderful.
That
Thank
was
you.
Drew Barr put those up. So,
Amazing.
and his team, the grounds for, so they're very nice, they look great.
If you haven't seen them, go by. They're on all the posts. New, like, class of 2021, was it?
Yeah, and then the class
Banners.
of 2026 did
Oh,
the
really?
ones in the back.
Excellent, yeah. So graduation gifts from various classes, and there's banners on all the light posts now.
Were they there for the?
No.
Put them up this summer.
Oh,
All right.
have to go take a look.
All right,
Say I didn't notice
turning it
them.
over to the superintendent now for a few updates.
Yeah. Well, you brought up budget. Let's just dive in. So I want to bring the board's attention to HB 1300. I'm sure you're all familiar with it, honestly, at this point. If you're not, please take a few moments, maybe not necessarily right this second, but to read through the bill connected to it. I'm going to try to summarize just some thoughts from my perspective related to this bill that I think we have to think about as a district and as a board, kind of as we approach the budget season kind of going on. First is timing is a little awkward here. So this, to summarize for people who don't have it right in front of you, this bill would, and Mr. Peoples jump in if at any point, essentially put a tax cap on the amount of tax rate increase connected to the school district budget. There's going to be an opportunity for this, well, not just an opportunity, it will be on the November ballot, and then it will also be on the November ballot in 2028. And so this question on the ballot will ask communities if they want to put a cap on the increase when it comes to the tax rate related to the school district budget. And so that will be in November 26, and it would be taking place the next fiscal year, which would be technically fiscal year 28, but it starts in July of 27, correct? So one of my initial, I'll just say concerns, is that vote will be taking place in November. Our budgets are turned in October, so we will not know the results of said vote as we are prepping our budgets for this upcoming budget season, right? So that's going to be a challenge. So we've talked about this administratively, that we are going to err on the side of making sure our budget is going to follow the rules of that particular vote because like it just makes, I won't say sense, but it's just like we can't develop multiple budgets, multiple scenarios and stuff like that. It's hard enough as it is, right? When we're talking about developing our proposed, we're developing a default and everything else kind of connected to it. So I just want to bring that to the board's attention. We're going to be developing a budget that assumes that this is with the assumption, I won't even say assumption, but we have to develop it as if this is going to pass and take effect right away. So that is going to affect our budget quite a bit.
So what
Is
is,
that town by town?
You gotta make clear what it covers. You should be clear
Yeah,
what
well,
HB 1300 covers.
I mean, jump in because I'm not 100% sure.
It covers the SAU budget.
Well, we'll get to that piece in a second. It covers the overall budget
budget.
too.
But-
So you're capped at
a percent increase from the inflation, and this is the specific place you're supposed to pull it from is in the bill. Please take time to read it. But from your inflation from the previous March plus assessment increase for the town, you're capped at 1% of your tax rate. What is concerning specifically for our community is this is not the overall budget that the increase is capped on. It's the portion that's going for taxation, so your tax rate. So for us specifically, we know we're facing a larger revenue hole next year, thus having, even if we kept a flat budget completely,
Because of the hold harmless.
because of the whole harmless grant, we're losing close to $400,000 in revenue before we get to anything else. So we have to make that up just to maintain a flat tax rate, right? If that was the goal. So we got to make up, and we're talking maybe a 3.3% increase. I mean, we're going to get clarification on like what that final number is, obviously, like way down the
For
road.
inflation, you mean?
Yeah, compared to last March. And we have a big webinar in a couple weeks with attorneys, to kind of, not just us, but the people, educators in the state. But it's going to really kind of box us in a little bit, like in terms of how much we can increase, because we're losing that revenue right off the jump. So like, for example, this FY27 budget we're in right now, we only went up like 0.13% over FY26 budget. But like, that sounds great, but like, we don't have that same advantage because of losing that revenue already, knowing that next year. And that's a biannual kind of loss that we're going to do. So we're in a little bit hole making that up off the jump and stuff like that. That's going to be a significant challenge, and we're going to have to reduce stuff. Even if we want to come up with the same budget, we're going to have to reduce from there. So
And stuff, you mean
people,
staff.
yeah, it's going to have to be staff. Now, included in this bill is the 6% cap for SAU expenses, and it's SAU and there's specific caveats on what that stuff covers. For example, things such as the superintendent and things associated with my role are included in that, right? So costs associated with my supplies, my mileage, like those type of things are included in this budget process, right? There's other SAU expenses that are not, by definition of this law, included in that 6%. For example, special ed, right? So nothing special ed is connected into this 6%.
No
cap.
classroom instruction is included in this.
What's
bill.
SAU?
Right, it's SAU. So based upon our current situation right now, FY27, our SAU on what fits under that parameters is at 7%. So we're gonna have to cut SAU budget. 7 to 6 may not sound like a lot, it's $262,000. That's people. Like, that's what we're looking at. And then any cuts you make to the school side, because it's a related percentage decrease, you have to continue to maintain that decrease as you're coming down. So we have 11 employees that fit in this umbrella. We're talking multiple of them have to go. So just prepping you. It's not going to be fun.
Well, so I guess like I hate to put you on the hot seat, but you're the one that's up on Concord. So like, how is that not supposed to impact us?
It's, every law has impact. I mean, that's not a consideration that there would be no impact. The idea behind the bill is it gives the voters of the town control, right? They have to vote this in. So it's something they have to say yes to. All this is a question right now. The question is, do you, the town of Litchfield residents, want a tax cap on your schools?
So, but in order to understand the impact of that though, right? Like if I see that on paper, right, the majority of people are going to say, yeah, why wouldn't I?
Absolutely.
Right? Like why would they say otherwise, right? It's like asking someone, should we?
I don't know. They did have that question on just the school ballot side, right, and it failed. So
They
there's a
had
very
that
real possibility.
question.
Didn't you guys have a tax cap
No.
question?
No.
I thought there was a warrant. Maybe that was
No.
to put the question on.
I think there's twofold problems. I think the timing of it is challenging because it doesn't allow us to build a runway to get to fitting under that SAU cap.
So when you mentioned this the other night, I was thinking, why is this not being done as part of the March election?
Because the law says it's a
General-
November election.
It's tied to the general election. Same. You have a more representative turnout of your town at the general elections than you do at just a March election.
Then in
That
that
was-
case,
that was
it ought to
specific.
delay to the following year. just like I have somebody in town who always talks to me about the town budget and the school budget, and the town has a disadvantage because their budget is set in January.
Right.
And they want to go, let's do one 18-month budget and get on the same calendar as the school.
Well, yeah, it starts in January, but you don't know the vote until March.
Yeah.
I mean, you know,
So they don't know. They could be
the
stuck.
the timing thing is one problem, but I mean, the bigger problem to me is if we have 11 people in the SAU and we are not operating with, like, there's no one that's just like, you know, doing the coffee runs. Like,
Well,
these
they
are people
wouldn't
that
have
are,
to if they had a cafe in the building.
well,
And I
so-
think the
I mean,
concern is we're talking people.
So
right?
we're gonna
And
have
we're
our
talking,
discussions, right?
Like, I'm just gonna use myself as an example, because I don't wanna put anyone else on the spot. You have a board, and as a larger community, have to have a legitimate discussion if you want the superintendent position anymore. Like, that's what we're talking about, the numbers that we're talking about. Or if you wanna contract those services to a larger school district. Like, that's the level of, like, the small population of people we're talking about, and like what the conversation has to be. It may not make sense to have a superintendent anymore. I hope that's not your decision. I enjoy working here. But that's the level that we have to get to. We're not talking a lot here. And I think it really, talk about unintended consequences, it puts the thumb on small school districts. This really, really does. And we're a small school district. And I'll give you a position example. The person in this position is wonderful, but I'm gonna use it because it's a simple example. We have a district IT technician, right? Bigger school districts just have IT technicians in their school budgets, not in their district budget. We have no IT technicians in our school budgets. There's one for the districts in the SAU budget. We report that person as an SAU employee to the state. So by definition of AB 1300, they're included in our count. So where it hurts, because we just have a single person doing this job, instead of individual people in the schools
And that was
doing
approved
it.
for 2.
What's that?
The voters approved 2 for that
Yeah.
position.
So just using that as a tangible example of where as a smaller district, what are we supposed to do?
Yeah.
Right?
Okay.
So I would encourage people to become familiar with this. We still have to budget for it. That's what I mean. The timing is challenging because it takes place right away in July, if it passes.
So next steps for the board, homework, right? If you haven't read this bill in its completeness, please do so before our next meeting.
and we need to come up with a plan for how to educate the public, because at the end of the day,
But that's the challenge. Because we're doing a budget now, we've started the budget process. Right? And we don't know the result of that vote, so we have to assume it's gonna pass. So how do we go back? How do we go backwards from that?
No on
Right?
this particular.
I don't think we can't influence, I don't think we can tell people how to vote, we just have to inform them on the impact. But I mean, the problem is, how do you get someone to understand the impact of this? You don't.
Yeah, okay. All right, well, thank you for alerting the board to that.
And it's only it's a 3-page bill total. It's actually 2.5 pages.
In a -2 font, though.
I think there's. I know. I linked to
Not double space.
not the most visually appealing version of it right here. I think there are more visually
You can search
appealing
it.
versions of the bill, but that was the one that was saved properly to my computer. So
You
that's
can get it off the Journal Report website.
all right. So I'm gonna
It
shift.
does
that.
take 60%, right? We confirmed that? It's
Yeah,
60%
supermajority.
supermajority. pass.
Six. What?
Supermajority to pass.
So, if you want to override it,
No, even for it to be, my
become
understanding is for it to be put into place, it has to pass with 60%.
yes.
Football.
All right, let's go to happier stuff. So for just transparency for the public, we've had a gap between school board meetings, so we had an opportunity for some of our senior football leaders to go on an overnight hike, field trip up using the AMC campsites up in the White Mountains. So I had sent that to the board via email so we could get approval, because our policy says overnight field trips need board approval. So I just wanted to bring that to the public's attention, that we did approve that field trip. It took place Monday night into Tuesday, and the kids
were very well behaved and did a good job. For just full transparency, no cost to the district or anything like that. Kids self-transported themselves, and it was a wonderful experience. To kind of just build a little bit off of that, the football kids had a couple different opportunities this year on field trips. Earlier this summer, if the board recalls, we did this approval way in advance because we did. They went on a whitewater rafting field trip, and we got wonderful feedback directly from the company that our kids were outstanding, really well behaved, and did a great job on that field trip. So, kudos to the kids, kudos to Coach Costello and the families for being supportive of those opportunities for our kids, and thank you to the board for approving this. So,
Great. Thank you for the feedback.
all right, school board meetings, agenda items. This is just a link for the board's information, and feel free to comment or add anything you like. We're trying to make things easier on ourselves by making sure we properly know when things are coming and what standing items that we can just put on the agenda, so everyone is aware that at this meeting we're doing this presentation. For example, first meeting in August, we're going to do student handbooks, right? Like these type of things. So you see we started this list and we're adding it to it. If the board has any anything they want us to include, or we just started this, so it's pretty empty right now, please add as you see fit, so we can make sure. Renee's already prepped all the agendas, the templates for all the agendas
You know what's
for
a
the year.
good exercise to do is let's go back through our agendas.
That's what we're doing.
Yeah, in the past couple of years.
Yeah. So Renee, doing a great job of that. She's prepped all the agendas for this year already, like literally the templates. Now we're going back through all the previous couple of years to see, like, all right, we did this in this meeting.
Normally here.
Yeah, let's make sure that it's always there and stuff like that. So,
As an example, like our board goals are coming up.
yeah, so we have them at the first September meeting.
Okay.
Yep. So that would be one that we want to just.
Goals review, I see.
Yep.
Yeah.
So handbook, for example, first 3 meetings here, student handbook, data presentation, there might be a pause on that because the state might not quite allow us to roll it out by then,
I
but
just
we will
certified
see.
embargoed data yesterday. It was due today, and it does say you can't share the information publicly until they allow you to. But I want to get some clarification from the state, so I'm waiting for them to get back to me on that, because I know that we have done data presentations at the end of August before. So I just want to make sure that we're following what we're supposed to be
Yeah.
doing.
All right, so as long as the DOE says we can share it publicly, we will do that next meeting. Goals on the first September, and then so on and so forth. So, again, I saw someone just added something, I don't even know who, but I saw it getting typed. But yeah, if you see things in particular meetings that you remember, or you want us to do in
I'll
that
take a
particular
shot at
meeting.
this.
Yeah,
Yeah,
go for it. And that's it for me right now.
All right. Business and operations.
I'll leave Julie for a second.
Sure, okay. So we have, let's see, I do have some transfer requests. We do have, for special ed, we have a out-of-district situation that is not taking place, and I apologize, that we have an out-of-district student that we budgeted for and no longer need to use those funds for that. So we have another student that needs a paraeducator that we do need to contract out for. So we're just requesting a transfer of funds and the amount of the salary we will need to pay the contractor. So taking that out of the out-of-district tuition line and transferring it to the professional service
And is this
line.
at the middle school?
I did not get the information on which.
Looking at the codes, I think it is. Yeah. Okay.
I think that's district.
Yeah.
It's a district line.
Okay.
I will make a motion to approve the transfer of $62,478 from out of district tuition to SPED professional services.
Second.
Motion by Mr. Shoemaker, second by Mr. Peoples. Additional discussion on the transfer. All those in favor, please say aye.
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 Opposed? Stand 5-0.
We had the auditors at SAU 2 weeks ago conducting a financial audit for FY '26. We have some preliminary information, but we're still finalizing some of the numbers. The numbers that we have right now are going to be pretty close to what our end is going to be. We do have, a couple of invoices outstanding and things like that. So, and also some health insurance things that need to kind of shakeout. So hopefully by the end of August, or actually closer to September, we'll have like real final numbers. But it's not gonna be any wild swings at this point. But the end balance is going to be significantly different, unfortunately, than when we met on June 30th.
So
there
that's,
were-
that's important just to highlight on what Mr. Gordon
100%.
says, right? So the end of year underspend that we started with for encumbrances, I think it was $1.3
Yes.
million, right, is now different from what the auditors have found in our accounts. So.
To the tune of what?
It's a positive difference, right?
Yeah, we have more
And it's a positive difference in yielding more to taxpayers, right? So
Cool.
that it's a good problem to have, but it's significantly higher than $1.3 million.
Really?
Well, the return will not be, but yes, the ending balance. So right now, the numbers that I received back from the auditors, the return for the unassigned fund balance currently stands at $924,145.
After our encumbrances?
That's after the encumbrances, right? So we were anticipating 380 or so, $60,000 or $80,000, I forget, to be returned back, and now it's going to be to the tune of 900,000.
And a big part of that is completely my fault, but as far as encumbrance goes, there was encumbrances with regard to salaries and benefits that I was including in that were actually, should have been applied to the FY '27 because it was with regard to the last payroll. And so that definitely shifted the numbers. There was also, we've been receiving more and more invoices. Unfortunately, with the, having a gap in having a facilities director at the time that we did, was a little bit challenging. So there are some things, still honestly coming in. So as much as I obviously wanted to have a better number for you that was much more accurate, I'm also really glad that we had this opportunity to see that, there are things that are gonna change. You don't wanna have your budget so thin that when something comes in or something catastrophic happens, you don't have a way to manage that. So I just think it's really important to remember that, and also that at this point, we're going to help stabilize the tax rate because our return is gonna be much more similar to what it was last year and to what was the previous year. When you have the wild swings is when you have a lot of difference in that. Obviously, we want to be better about spending down our budget, and unfortunately, next year, I think we're probably, gonna be down to the wire, but, that's where we're at this point.
Okay, and just in terms of notification to the town administrator as a heads up, has that happened?
I have not yet, and I will do
Okay.
that. I'm still getting
Yeah.
everything finalized.
I think it's just a helpful, even if we don't have the final numbers, if we have a projection, right? And that projection is helpful for town planning.
Absolutely.
We're gonna need that for our percentage increase that we can go on every time, that tax rate increase. So it's important stuff to get done.
Better to be off in that direction.
Right, I mean, it's not, it's a
Happy
good,
problem.
it's a good problem to have for taxpayers.
I'm going to say my piece and then I will drop it. Cause I already know, use nice language, some of the questions that will come during the budget season for some of this, correct? Like, we are looking to manage our money for the district responsibly, which means we're always gonna err on the side of not excessively spending. So like, we will always err on having too much left over than not enough. Like, and now twice our careful budget, like spending in the year has saved us. One is school care, that we did not get buried last year because we were sitting on money from the end of the year that we didn't spend frivolously. And this year with the parking lot, that we had money to take care of that problem and do it. So yes, we would love to have our budgeting down to 99.9%. That would be great. But we're gonna err on the side of having excess money, so when the unexpected happens, we can deal with it.
And it honestly makes me wonder, and we'll have this discussion during budget season, but it honestly makes me wonder if budgeting for a $200,000 return is sufficient enough.
I think it's a worthy conversation to have, like 200,000 might be
Too
too
low.
close
Yeah.
to the thing.
Yep.
Right? And maybe that we don't need to go out of control, but like maybe we need to do different.
Yeah.
Ironically, I will leave the district, sorry, I have an internal joke that no one else will get, but I will leave this district unnamed. It is not Bow, because I would just name it if it was them. But this other district that is similar size to us, I was talking to their superintendent, and he was like, oh, we had $3.2 million left over, and everyone in town was celebrating. We did not, we had like half of that. So like, just a reminder that we're doing the right things. I know people hear these millions of dollars of numbers and think it's like a problem per se. We're not. It's a lot of money, but it's also like, we're still in like the high 90th percentile of what we're spending in our budget.
So hopefully the budget committee rewards you with
They're not.
some
And it's not their-
accolades rather than beatings.
They're not, and it's not their job to reward us. Their job is to be critical of how we're doing our budgeting.
But at the same time, they shouldn't be critical of you doing a good job. They
Right.
should-
They're representing the taxpayers. They should ask these questions. We should be ready with the answers. I'm not saying every one of our conversations is gonna go cherry this fall. That's fine. That's the nature of the game.
But honestly, though, there's enough other districts that we can cite that were in really bad positions
Oh, yeah.
this year.
We're not. We continue to be in a good financial situation. We really are, like as a district. We're taking care of things that need to be taken care of and protecting ourselves against the unexpected, because 2 years in a row, we've had big unexpected and we've been able to take care of ourselves. And more importantly, the town, right? Like, we're not going to special warrant articles or dipping into reserves yet or doing any of this stuff. Like, it's gonna come up, well, why don't you could have done the parking lot down the road out of reserve. Yeah, we could have, right? But we have that reserve tucked away for high school roof, because we're gonna need to do that 3 years from now. I mean, we were hoping to get that HVAC with that roof in 31, that's a different conversation, like, but that's where we gotta take advantage of these situations when we come up. This year, FY '27, if our vans go as we hope, if our health insurance goes as we hope, guess what? We're gonna have extra money at the end of the year. That's like the smart management we're trying to do in these type of things. Like, we do the budget so far in advance, and then we take advantage of situations as they unfold as the year goes. That's my piece. I'll get off my soapbox.
Okay.
I stand behind you. It's really, really hard to do a bottoms up every single year, a year in advance, to plan it all out.
Well, I think it also, as we talk about budgeting, and we talk about next year budgeting specifically, right? With conversations with the budget committee, we're also going to need to take into consideration the whole discussion of the HB 1300, right? Because that will directly impact the budget and any returns back to the taxpayer as well.
True.
So, okay. Thank you for that update. Impact fees?
Yes, so impact fees, we do have a significant amount of impact fees that are starting to expire, which at first I was a little panicky about that, but it's not expiring all in June. So it will, right now we have a balance for the high school in particular of $365,000. And once, basically those impact fees expire after 6 years. So the next one to expire is going to be, it's like a $6,900 will expire in June of '27. So, while of course we want to be mindful of that, it's not as dire as I thought, needing to spend that money down immediately. But it is something that we want to be mindful of. I did put the balances on here for all of the other schools. Just as a reminder, the other schools will not continue to accrue the impact fees. They do accrue the interest, but we now have an all schools account. So from here forward, any new projects will be getting credited to the all schools.
So I'd love to hear from Zach, our facilities director, not tonight, right? But as you get more acclimated, right, what do you see as beneficial to the district that would be a good use for our impact fees, right? And so we have, next year, it's about $7,000 out of $365,000 that's there. We definitely want to use that $7,000. But if there's projects that we really do need to address specifically at Campbell in this case, that would be a good use of those funds, right? So I'd like to see a plan, and if that plan can be scheduled, aligned to when these impact fees expire, at least then we're working from a plan.
Yeah, I would like to see what the run out is of the dollars, certainly at Campbell anyway.
Yeah, I've started working on that. It's not pretty, so I haven't shared it with you yet, but I just went through for, just to get through 28, and I think it's about $20,000 that we'll lose by the end of fiscal year 28.
But impact fees can only be used for expansion of services, correct?
They can be, yes. So, but that's why, like, if we have a plan in place, but that's an expansion of service specifically at Campbell.
Right. I see a repair identified here. That's not expansion of services, so that wouldn't fall
Depends
under
on how you
impact.
approach it. For
Right.
example, the parking lot at LMS did qualify for impact fees because we are expanding
You're
services.
expanding it, yes.
Right, well, and as, you know, the additional handicap spaces and additional parking
Right.
spaces. I think one of these things that we have, looking at HVAC as like an example, because that's written here and HVAC is currently a problem at CHS, would a higher quality or replaced or repair or whatever fixed HVAC system allow us to expand services there? And I think you can make an argument it does. It's a community building. We'll be able to use it more frequently over the summer, more access for people. I'm not saying it's going to get approved, but right, like that's the work we have to do to see if some of these things qualify for that impact use.
And just know that it is a very tightly controlled piece for that, because the impact fees they do go back to the developers if they're not spent.
And we also, as far as the impact fees that we had for this year for LMS, one of the things that's an important piece is that has to be on the town CIP. I mean, I'm sure there's other emergency situations that you could use them, but take, for instance, the HVAC is on the town CIP. So there is some potential there. I think that would help us and
Okay.
being able to argue for that. So yes, we will have a plan more in place as, you know, Zach is able to kind of get through everything and we can prioritize projects.
And not to add to Zach's list, but it would actually be good to have Zach mentioning CIP,
Yeah.
right, to have a say in the school
Absolutely.
Oh,
portion of the
100%.
CIP
Absolutely.
plan,
Like-
right, so.
I can't say how strongly I said today in our admin meeting, please go to Zach with all your facilities. things. Like, don't come to me, I don't know anything. But like, yeah, as we've kind of had Zach transition.
But as that plan gets refreshed every year, right, and taking a look at, like, having you there and having a seat at the table to
Yeah.
help educate and explain the school district needs would be important.
And that's all I had for impact fees. I don't really have a solar update, except that apparently there has been some work done. I know that KW Services that is contracted by Dynamic Grid to do the prep work, the site work behind the building. They have been working directly with Continental to make sure that gets done the way it needs to, and that they're not, you know, getting in each other's way.
So I've learned today, I haven't seen it, but I've learned today that the pad for the battery is there.
I drove around the school, I didn't notice, I drove around the school 4 or 5 days ago. Just
Yeah.
went,
So I
Go
hear
to
it's
the
there,
pad.
and I hear it's piped, so that's a little bit of progress.
Where's the battery?
They're still designing it.
Building the factory to build the battery.
We'll be circling back.
Okay.
we'll need lots of turnover documents.
All right, any other updates? All right, appreciate it. We'll turn it back over to Dr. Taylor for a curriculum update.
All right, so lots always happening. Our consolidated app for our grants was approved, so I've got all of my Title I activities in, and all of those are approved. Our Title I, we're very excited that we have full staff for Title I tutors, and I actually was also able to hire a separate Title I tutor for St. Francis this year, which we have not been able to do. We've been having to pull some of our Title I teachers from GMS during the day to go over to St. Francis, which pulls resources away from our students. So I was very excited that we were able to hire a lovely person that actually already works at St. Francis as an interventionist. So they'll have their services uninterrupted. We'll have our services uninterrupted. So that was a really nice addition. And then vertical alignment has been going really, really well. We had a really good meeting between myself and the administrators, and talked through things, and I have a solid timeline on what we're doing, and I have built a scope and sequence and standards inventory that is pretty great, if I do say so myself. So we're going to be doing that work, and I have a whole timeline that I can share with you if you would like to see it. I didn't link it to the agenda, but it's got an outline of what all PLC meetings will be, what our professional development days are going to entail. So we've really got a nice plan going into this 26-27 school year. So I'm excited to get that started and working frivolously on getting every single content area's scope and sequences in this template that I have. So
Good, that's good, thank you. For welcoming staff back to the district here in a few weeks.
Yep.
That's coming fast and furious, isn't it?
It is.
Are there, you sound passionate about that. Is there a plan to re-educate on grading and curriculum and?
So I have we have two new professional staff orientation days at the beginning of the year, or when staff come back. It's just the new professional staff that come back. That district day, it's a whole bunch of here's everything, and I have a 2-hour block. Well, I do more than that with them. I'm with them all day, but I have IT come in,
Yeah,
I
great.
have HR come in, but I go over the grading system, I go over professional development, I go over all of that kind of stuff to give them an orientation to that. And then we also have a really nice, robust mentoring program that I work with the building mentor coordinators every month. And they are paired up with a mentor that is a veteran, and they continue along because it's like a lot of information on the very first
Right.
day. So we make sure that they are paired with someone to have that connection.
So if you have agendas for what those first few days look like, and if you could share that,
Yeah,
that'd be
we
great.
will. We're talking on today in our admin meeting, finalizing what we're gonna do and prepping it all together. In terms specifically of curriculum, just with your question, one of the nice things with how we're doing our PD days this year is we have an earlier PD day. The Friday before Columbus Day is a PD day for the district, and that's gonna be dedicated to curricular stuff fully, which is nice because it's still early in the year.
Right.
Like, yes, we've
I was
got,
so excited about it.
and yeah, it's a month and a half into the year, 6 weeks into the year, but everything's so fresh, so we can still get good practices off the ground for everybody and have a day dedicated to it, so it'll be good.
All right, we have public minutes from July 8th.
Make a motion to approve them.
We have a motion by Mr. Shoemaker,
Second.
second by Mr. Peoples. Additional discussion on those minutes. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstained, 5-0. Thank you. New business. We have several new policies tonight. I'll turn it over to the superintendent
Yeah.
for an update.
One quick thing, I spoke on it very, very quickly in the beginning of the meeting. We got 2 correspondence from the School Board Association this week about additional policy updates that we should really do that I didn't have time to prep for this meeting. You'll likely see in the next meeting. One is specifically around laws that were passed that then need to reflect into the bullying, anti-bullying policy that we have. So we have those changes. And then the policy connected to access for non-enrolled students. So this would be students who are in charter schools, homeschools, EFAs, so on and so forth. Law, language change with that, which will necessitate that policy to have to change as well. So just an FYI, you're gonna see, we try to do just one set, first, second, and then the next set, first, second, but you're gonna see 2 slide in next week because of the timing of the School Board Association.
Thank you.
I'm gonna do quick kind of reviews of these. If you click on the proposed policies, you'll see I try to leave notes on the side so you can see what the changes are. This first one is just a completely new policy, a recommendation from the School Board Association, but also a recommendation from Primex, that we have something like this in place. This is for people operating our vehicles, right? So twofold, this is important for us right now because we're getting the vans for the school district. And so they're the school district's vans, so we need a policy in place for the people who are driving them, that they're following certain rules. But we also have other vehicles that we use in the district, such as the facilities and maintenance trucks that we use, even the gators that we use, anything that puts someone behind a wheel, no matter what the capacity and power of that vehicle. So this is a policy, this is the recommended policy from the School Board Association. Primex likes it as well. that talks about what requirements we need for you to operate any of the district's vehicles. To summarize, it's you have to have a valid driver's license, you have to have a clean driver's record, you have to be insured. We are also insured. You have to wear your seatbelt. You have to follow all rules of the road, all school policies. For example, we're talking adults here. These are adult drivers. You just be blunt. You can't be, no pun intended, that's what I'm about to say. You can't be vaping while you're like driving around a school vehicle, right? Like even if you're an adult and you're 30 years old, for example, like if you're on the road in a Litchfield School District vehicle, while legally you could use a vape pen, you cannot in our vehicle, those type of things. So that's that policy.
That was my comment on it. I just want to
Yeah.
make sure that we were covered both from a
It's a good question.
staff and student who's riding in the
Yeah.
vehicle.
And there are still those policies too that stay in place for when there's transportation of students that are
Okay.
separate from this one as well. So we updated those last school year. The next one, we can do these one at a time, or you want to?
We'll do this one because it's separated out. I'll make a motion for a first read policy to approve policy EEBA, vehicle operation safety.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. Additional discussion on this one? All those in favor for first read, please say aye. Aye. That carries 5-0. Now we have updated policies.
Yes, so we get updates from the School Board Association in the fall and in the spring, and sometimes timely summer ones, like the two we'll bring next week. But these are results of updates. This particular one is a result of an update that we got from the School Board Association last spring that we had the ability to kind of put together this summer. So this is twofold. This is updating policy ECAF, which is currently specifically talking about just surveillance on school buses. And what this policy is doing is talking about, is combining that ECAF and the old EEAA, which is surveillance on school property, making that one policy about any surveillance when you're dealing with anything school related. So it's recommended by the School Board Association that you have a singular policy here. So what you see here in the proposed ECAF is that singular policy that covers both school buses and any district property or anything kind of associated with that. The bus is considered school property for this policy standpoint. If you were to accept that proposed policy, I would ask that you also rescind policy EEAA, because then this policy would cover that as well.
Okay. The one question, and I think there was language in here when I read it, I just want to make sure, is it specified that it's very clear on who can receive those recordings and when? So if a parent asks for a certain recording, what's the policy on that?
I will double check it. I wrote this a while ago, or put
Yeah,
it together a while ago. So
I read it, but I don't recall reading that.
what it's
part of
trying
it.
to align with is the parental bill of rights, right? And I think, Ray, I'm going to look to you a little bit. There are some additional updates to the parental bill of rights bill at one point that help clarify some of these recording procedures and policy stuff related to
Right,
it.
because the way the bill was written, the way the original law passed, you pretty much precluded any photographing or filming of
Yep.
any student anywhere.
And then access use, so section D is access, use, and retention of recordings.
No big deal, right? We'll approve it for a first read.
Yeah, I'll
We
double
can-
check for second read, see if there's anything that
Yeah.
jumps out, so. I saw one thing I have to bold, that's not, I'm gonna do that literally while I'm standing, there we go. All right, so that's what that one encompasses.
Let's just go through the updated ones.
Okay. The next ones are related to the start of the school year. This next one is meal charging. So we had talked about at a board meeting previously, two things related to meal charging. One is using a credit card machine at CHS, which this policy now reflects the use of a credit card machine at CHS. That's not going to be used at the elementary or the middle school, but CHS kids can use the credit card machine. And then the more probably one to discuss is the charging, allowing kids to charge beyond a certain amount. So what this policy, the change in this policy is saying that a high school student, a Campbell High School student, could no longer charge beyond $15 to their account. If they were going to purchase any food, whether it was a meal or an a la carte thing, and they had a deficit of $15 or more, they would have to do it with cash in hand or credit card in hand. They would have to pay for it at point of purchase. So this is putting that into policy.
Okay. And I know we had some exchange earlier today about like the situation specifically at Campbell, right?
Correct.
And how big of a problem is
Yep.
negative meal balances at Campbell?
I have the exact
Change.
numbers. Lauren got them for me. Give me one moment. So, currently, the district as a whole owes in deficit a little north of $2,000, $2,332. CHS specifically is the smallest one, and it's $389 of a negative balance that we have in kids right now. There's also $657 from families that are no longer with the district that we were not able to collect before they left. So that could be graduating seniors or students that just transfer out. At some point, you just don't have the money in it.
It should just be a write-off, right?
It is, yeah. I mean, you could take them to small claims court, but we're talking $650 in total. Not going to do that.
We did not give a cap and down.
Right. So you guys were good about that. So this is probably all transfer students, but it's not exclusively CHS students. So.
Okay.
That's awesome. Yeah.
All right, I mean, so it's a small, minor problem at Campbell, right, with a few $100s. So why then the change to the policy to address something that's not a significant issue?
I think just to draw attention to the fact that we don't want to run a deficit is kind of principle. You know, talking with Lauren, if the board wasn't comfortable with this change, she's fine with that. It's not necessarily going to make this significant difference in anything that we're doing from a meal capacity. I think what it represents, other districts, this is a significant issue, is that kids ring up these huge deficits. I think Goffstown had a big thing about it last school year, if you remember, in the union leader and stuff like that. We've been good about it, about not having that issue here at Campbell, but I think it is emphasizing that like you need to pay for your meals. And as we look at anything
Thanks for coming.
to kind of close that deficit we have in food services, this not a significant change, but it could help a little bit with changing that gap or closing that gap. So,
Okay.
but if the board's not comfortable with it, it's not.
It's more just making sure we all understand, right?
Yeah.
What are the board's thoughts on introducing the credit card payment system at Campbell?
What are you gonna pay? What's the fee gonna be on the credit card?
It's like a 3%, and you have to put in at least $10 when you're using the credit card. So
You're gonna add, like the town, add that fee to the purchase?
the district's going to eat it, but we're putting that minimum in so to ensure that we're getting enough bang for our buck with kids doing it. So, because we did do this at Bow, you do increase your sales.
Yes.
And like,
I'm sure.
you know, like you're sacrificing a little to make a lot more.
Yeah.
And I think it's a great idea.
Yep.
I mean, it's my nephew has a prepaid credit card on Apple Pay on his phone, right? So it's one of those things of that's how parents are starting to monitor things as we go through. As they start to go through things, is they put prepaid cards in the Apple Wallet and stuff like that. So I think it's a good idea instead of just carrying around cash or coins or.
Kids aren't gonna have their phone.
That's very true.
They got to use their actual credit card to do it.
Yeah.
Or debit card or whatever the case may be.
Which none of them have anyway.
I know if you use a credit card,
Well, yeah.
credit card with the town, you have to pay the extra fee.
It's a good catch
Is it
22.
permitted to absorb it?
We
By
could,
RSA?
but I think the effort to
Use their phone.
execute that is challenging.
So to pay a
I was
bill.
questioning more, is it
To buy lunch.
Bail for lunch.
Kids will be not talking to schools, maybe go back
You
the
can-
other way.
To charge the families for the fee?
No, to absorb it.
I mean, other schools do that, so if it's not,
Okay, well,
others are
that's-
doing it.
Yeah. I know the town charges you actually use a credit card, you pay that fee.
But I'm fine with it. We'll see how it goes, right? And if we need to make an adjustment, we will.
Yeah.
You okay with that?
And I do want to just emphasize, put everyone's mind at ease for this. Like, I will not get into all the details, but we have plenty of avenues to take care of hungry kids. Kids don't go hungry.
That was
Like,
my
if
my
there's-
question to Brian, right? And
Yeah.
kind of the back and forth on this policy is just making sure that there's still opportunities for those who are struggling to still get a meal.
Yes. And I won't get into all the ins and outs of it, because sometimes it's best if you don't know. But we take care of it. Don't worry about it. Kids don't go hungry.
Thank you. All right, so policy IHBA.
Yeah, this is really simple. They updated some legal language around the specific special ed law and the legal references, so that's all the update is. Everything else is stayed the
Policy
same.
JJA, student activities.
This is not necessarily changing intent a ton, but trying to make it easier for everyone to actually follow. So this is broken up into a proposed new policy that follows the school board association language that makes the policy just policy-related stuff. And then 2 accompanying procedures. The first procedure talks about eligibility standards, so it's a procedural thing. And what we expect, Ms. Mitchinson highlighted this with the student handbook stuff, that kids can't be failing more than 1 class to be eligible for co-curricular activities. And then the second procedure talks about conduct violations and the process that goes along when kids do make mistakes and need to be held accountable and limit their participation in some co-curricular activities.
Okay. Any questions on the proposed changes to the policies? All right, I'll make a motion to approve for first read, policy ECAF, which is surveillance, that we talked about, policy EFAA, meal charging, policy IHBAA, evaluation requirements for children with specific learning disabilities, policy JJA, student activity organizations, and policy JJIC, eligibility for interscholastic athletics. And this is also an approval in my motion for the associated procedures with each of those policies.
Second.
Motion by myself, second by Mr. Shoemaker. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Abstained? That carries 5-0. I also want to make a motion to rescind policy EEAA, which is now being replaced by policy ECAF.
Second.
Should I wait on that, actually? Because we approved it for a first read.
Yeah, you don't have to rescind it till next week.
Yeah,
Yeah.
all right, so
Or next
I'll-
week.
Yeah, we'll withdraw that. Okay.
All right,
So, old business.
enrollment, so this,
Just say it's time check. It's 8
Yep,
o'clock.
time check, 8 o'clock. Thank you very much. So we'll open it up for our second community input this evening. Seeing since nobody from the community has joined us tonight, we'll close second community input. Thank you for that. And we'll move forward with old business.
all right, enrollment, just update as of, this is probably, actually, the numbers may not change much, but who the numbers are may change a little bit between here and the start of the school year, because we'll get an influx of kids transferring in and an influx of kids transferring out as the school year gets like right there to it. Middle school and high school holding pretty steady with numbers from last year. The elementary's down, because the elementary is down. And this is where we're at right now. So at kindergarten, we're still at that about 68 kindergarten number. Solid 4 sections, not gonna need a 5th, but we're in that solid 4 section range there. That averages 17 kids per kindergarten, which is a decent number. And then we're not losing middle school and high school kids, which is appealing. Like, we're not seeing a huge influx of kids leaving us. So we're pleased that we haven't lost a ton of kids transferring out, stuff like
Are
that.
we sure on that, or are the
Nope,
numbers being
because-
washed?
What's that?
Are the numbers being washed with move-ins and the like?
Well, there's some of that, right? And there's some that's not processed all the way. So until we get told that, oh, my kid's coming or my kid's leaving, and it's like,
Yeah.
we want to make sure we get
I
it one
understand
way or
there's
the other.
Quite a few that have transitioned from middle school into other schools.
Yep.
All that we knew about, which is a big number, are all out of.
Yeah, and we've gained some kids coming in for 9th grade as well. But then even some of the kids who are like, say, going to like a private school, your BGs, your Trinities and stuff like that, like, until they tell us, until we get the official like request from like the receiving school, we leave them in. Right. And it's likewise, we don't officially enroll a kid until we've had all the enrollment things crossed out, or
So currently, we're sitting at about 19 students less than last
as an
year.
entire district.
Right, but those numbers can change a little bit
Yeah.
as we get through the next few weeks. Okay.
But it is following the state trend. I mean, this is the trend all across the state. It's,
Well-
we're on a slow, steady decline.
And interestingly, that entire 19 is at the elementary school.
Yep.
So,
The concern is, this is 2 years in a row that the birth rate in town, that comparison ratio is less than what we got. And for many years prior to that, that was not true, it was higher.
right.
Right, so like, why, I think the question, trend or not, why are babies being born here and then not coming to kindergarten?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Does the kindergarten, what about St. Francis?
What's that?
They go to St. Francis? St. Francis do kindergarten, I don't even know.
We don't know where they go. They don't have to tell us where they go.
They wouldn't be included in this number, though.
No, St. Francis is not.
No, St. Francis's are separate, but they do kindergarten.
So did KinderCare open back up? Didn't I see they were
Yes.
gonna open? So I don't know how many kids they get.
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, I can just tell you that we just toured,
Matt's trying to help the population.
well, maybe not. We just toured, for preschool, we just toured a like private preschool in Londonderry that also does kindergarten.
Yep.
And they just opened last year with 36 students, and they're up to 86 this year.
And you're not seeing an increase in the first grade, right? So it's not like they're doing kindergarten elsewhere and then coming for first grade.
Yeah.
Because you're not required to be here necessarily for kindergarten, right? They're not coming for kindergarten and they're not coming for the rest, right? So like, where are they going? That is the question, right? Like, and is it private? Is it charter schools? Is it homeschooling? Like, we have definitely seen an increase in homeschool students, not just this year, but just historically, not just in this district, but across the state. So like, where are they going? So,
Last check that I did on how many EFA students we had in Litchfield was 78.
Yep.
So I haven't, but
Significant
that's
number.
6-month-old figure.
significant. Yeah.
All right. Well, thank you for that update. We'll continue to monitor enrollment over the next few weeks. GMS.
GMS, so I think since we last met as a full board, we've had one meeting, and I think I shared all that with the board. So Harriman finished up the bulk of their design work and have given that to Harvey to price out all the way through. I shared with the board, they're kind of the drawings associated with it, and then the narrative that they provided Harvey, associating with it, so they can make all the cost analysis and pricing of all that stuff. We're expecting to get those numbers at our next kind of team meeting. I believe that is August 18th. So it will be before the next board meeting, where we'll have preliminary numbers, on the cost of all this stuff, and then we'll kind of go from there. We met with, we're meeting with bond people, so the bond bank, and reached out to our bond counsel to secure that and everything to make sure we're good to go there. What you see are two links. The first is the calendar for pursuing a bond. So if the vote was successful in March, the application is in April to then do the bonds. It's sold in July, and then all the necessary steps. So the board can kind of see that, where that bond process kind of goes as it goes. From the bond bank, they shared with us bond schedules. These are estimates based upon their most recent bonds that they issued, which were this past July. So you we shared something similar last year when we were talking about bonds as well. You'll see some level debt and level principal, just bond schedules for 20, 25, and 29 years. So you can just get an idea. We're not committing to any of these schedules. We're not committing to any of these schedules. Just as we continue to talk about this, as the kind of fall unfolds, what we're looking at numbers, so you can start kind of wrapping that around your head. This will be critical for us as we do budgeting, obviously, this fall, to think, we're gonna have our warrant article with our budget, and then a warrant article for the building, putting those two things together, like, what is the tax impact of those two things together for the community and stuff like that, so. So those are those. Any bond-related questions?
No bond-related questions. Were there any other comments that came in on the narrative that was shared?
No other comments, but feel free to send them. We did forward them to Harriman and Harvey, and they'll provide us answers as relevant, through the process and stuff like that, so. But we shared that with them as well, so.
Thank you.
Yeah. And then the last thing, we are not committed to any of this yet. I know there's a price here, whatever. But we talked about doing some PR related to this and working with Story First for it. So he's kind of put a timeline kind of together for us of what it could look like, and he just gave us like an initial price of what like the first phase could look like, and then we can kind of pick and choose from there, like how we want to kind of go through these different things. So it's kind of breaking up into 3 parts. We would spend kind of this first session, he's a storyteller, so telling the story of why we would need to do this project. So kind of interviewing different people, analyzing the project, coming together with what we want to, how we want to kind of approach any PR/videos related to this. The second phase this fall would be, and it's all, the budget then down the road is based upon what we decide to do, right? You could go super big and spend a lot of money, or go quieter and not spend as much money, right? Or something kind of in between. So phase 2 would be production over the course of the fall, and then phase 3 as we ramp up towards our March vote, getting it all out there and communicating those type of things. And there's a lot more detail in here that you can read and stuff like that. So I'm not asking the board necessarily for approval tonight for any of this, just your general thoughts about this kind of idea, approaching something
So
like this.
the administration needs direction from the board on whether we're going to proceed with this or not, right? Simply stated. So what are the board's thoughts on having this PR behind Griffin and making a recorded video? This is, if you recall, similar to a video, the company that put a video together for Hollis, which circulated with the board back in March.
It's imperative.
Imperative.
It is imperative.
It's a lawyer word.
That's a good word.
And, I mean, I've suffered through this once. I'm not suffering through it again.
Oh, you might. I wouldn't say you're done.
I
Just
know,
don't,
right?
yeah.
Not doing it.
25 years, it's still going strong. Don't think it doesn't have wings.
Imperative.
I think we have to be able to tell the story, though.
Huh?
I do think we have to have a way to tell the story.
Yeah, and it's just really, really, really hard to do if you don't have someone that knows how to do it and that can spearhead the work.
Yeah.
We tried,
I
we
was
had,
very impressed with the production that Hollis, who had a failed vote in March, right? But Hollis,
it was so good.
it was spot on to telling just the whole why behind the project and the necessity of it.
Yeah, it wasn't good because it was like a sales pitch. It was good because it found a way to like make it make sense.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the hardest thing to do is like we tried a million different ways, including I had helped Dan and I had to help someone produce a video, and it was brutal. So
It's not easy. I would like to have a better production number for that phase 2. I mean, $4,700 is not a lot, but what's the second number gonna be? Is
Well, I
it 10,
think,
20, 30,
We
50?
kind of know that,
Yeah?
right? We kind of know that, and I think the total project, based upon past conversations, I'm expecting to be somewhere in the $20,000 range.
I would say 25, but you could scale back on that if you don't feel comfortable with that as the process kind of plays out. That's why he broke it up into these sections. But I think you're looking at $25,000 related to this, which sounds like a lot of money, but I think having a professional help us with this would be imperative.
I mean,
Is that the word you used?
imperative. Like think about
Essential.
if we just think about if we get to a place where it's a no vote, like we have to start all over again,
Well,
trying to
and-
figure something out.
And like, I know it's like, people think like this is to sell the project, and like, yes, it is to a certain extent. We're paying $25,000 to inform the public of a $35 million project. It's a drop in the bucket to make sure people have the knowledge base to make an educated decision on it in March, right? That's all we ask, is just like when people go in and make a decision how they're gonna vote on this project, that they're equipped with the right information, right? And then whatever they feel is the right decision, that's everyone's private choice. But I think we owe it to everybody to ensure as much as we can that people have the information to make that informed decision.
We owe it
right?
to the staff in the building.
We do.
We do owe that, for sure, right? The people who are working there to make sure that we're telling the story, we're getting the message out so everyone can make an informed decision.
Can we get a discount for 2 videos, and we can do one on why having a tax cap is gonna kick the shit out of our district?
One thing at a
Alright,
time.
so general
give it a fair
sentiment of the
shot.
board is move forward. Is that what I'm reading?
Yeah.
Alright, there you go.
Move forward. We'll manage we'll report out on spending associated with this, obviously, but we'll manage it as we need to, as we go through the process, so.
Okay, and does this come from a reserve account?
I mean, we gotta clarify that a little bit. Like, we've set aside money for the reserve fund, from the reserve fund for pre-construction services, right? I don't know if this is pre-construction services, right? Like, I think we gotta get some
This
clarity.
is separate.
Yeah, for that. I mean, I lean to no, but So I think we would need to carve out some places in our budget where we could absorb this. I think we can carve out some places in our budget to absorb this.
This is 100% a pre-construction service.
It's not not to the.
I don't think
spirit
with
and
how
intent
we
Having the sense of it.
represented it at the time,
Right.
right? Like, I think we represented like work through Harriman, right? Through Harriman and Harvey, right? So like, if they had to work with an additional party to get an answer for their work, I think that falls into the idea of pre-construction, right? But I think we, the district, have decided to do this separate from Harriman, right? This isn't Harriman coming to us and saying like, this is part of our work, this is
Yeah.
us doing this. So I would love to say this is part of that bucket of money from just simplicity.
Well, I guess if
Well,
we,
and anyway, we can figure out where it's coming from later.
Yep.
But the general direction
Yes.
is, go ahead. go
Yeah.
forward.
And we definitely need to do it in concert with Harriman.
Oh, I think everyone's got to work together, yeah. Yep.
All right, anything else old business wise?
No, not right now.
Do we have a manifest, anything else paper?
We do, they're sitting here, sorry. So, again, transparency for everybody, we've been working on this health insurance thing. We have to do that weekly, and so we have set up DocuSign, so we can track the dates and times and everything to make sure that this is approved by the board before we release any funds associated with that.
Oh, there's a hard copy of the manifest?
There's a hard copy here
I think
for
that's
the
working anymore
manifest.
For some reason.
he just wants us.
Thank you to the board. We have our online one good, the DocuSign one. We're good on that. We're going to continue to kind of fine tune that process because we don't have to have all 5 of your signatures. We just have to have a majority for that. So to make sure that we trigger that correctly within the DocuSign system, it might adjust it a little bit, but like nothing significant there.
Yeah, and so just for public awareness and, you know, we, every meeting we go through the manifest, right? We read the manifest that we're signing into public minutes. We'll continue to do so. But given the change to healthcare, the board does need to sign manifests on a far more frequent basis, which means off-cycle in between our scheduled board meetings. We're also having to have gone into the administration office at Campbell to sign off on manifests so payment can be made timely. The board has made a decision along with the support of the superintendent. We've moved to a DocuSign process, which is electronic signatures. The board just received access to DocuSign earlier this week, and we ran a trial manifest through that today for one of the items for health insurance. But over time here, and hopefully in the near future, all of our manifests will be moved into DocuSign just for efficiency.
And it's nice because it timestamps everything, which is helpful. So as we go through this process, we go through the audit processes every year, not that we get pushback on this, but you know, every little extra thing helps. So having the timestamp is
Great. Yep, it's good. Auditors like it too.
they do.
All right, so for manifest tonight, what the board is reviewing right now, and I'll read into the minutes, is we have an accounts payable manifest for $424,125.56. We have another accounts payable for $174,868.10. We have a payroll manifest of $118,297.50. We have a 403B of $28,325.60. Another payroll of $128,384.83. We have a manual payroll check of $807.17. And we have a 403B manifest of $102,675.70. And that covers off what the board is reviewing, signing. Thank you to Ann and the administration as always for sending us the electronic versions of these in advance as well. We'll just give it a minute for the manifests to move forward with signatures. And just while that happens, are there any school board comments tonight?
I appreciate all the work that the administration continues to do to implement this insurance change. This is a big undertaking, but everyone seems to be doing pretty well with it.
Yes.
And I'd like to note that they did it without air conditioning.
Yeah.
Because I went in
big
to
fans in the office.
I went in to sign the manifest and there, and it was like, wow, welcome to the jungle.
Everyone's sweating.
Don't worry.
Huh?
It'll
Did
be
you hit the bottom
fine
one
for the
too?
school year.
Just that one, sorry.
We're moving forward with a head to head, right? Yeah, that's a great shout out, right? And certainly looking forward to welcoming back staff and students as the month progresses. Looking forward to the agenda and joining in a couple of those meetings if we're able.
And then sorry, anyone else?
Superintendent comments?
I just have one. I just want to thank Continental and Joel
Yeah.
for the work over at LMS, and I'm sure other people as well. But it's incredible what they're doing, and that's going to be ready for the school year. And just it's awesome seeing the work. That was in rough shape. Like when they tore stuff out, I was talking to one of the guys today, and he's like, "You didn't even have a pipe underneath. Like it's like
Galvanized culvert, wherever they put it, the stuff has got an age, and once it
So-
starts to corrode, it's gone.
It needed to get done, it was the right decision,
Yeah.
looking forward to seeing the final product. I haven't been down there, so looking forward to seeing it.
Yeah, they're starting to do the paving. They did the sidewalks. Started the sidewalks today. And they're working their way down the parking lot. So.
What's the status on the solar site work?
The pad's down. Battery's not here. That's the summary.
On the bright side, there will be
The pad needs to cure.
plenty of time for the pad to cure.
They did run the piping underneath the road too, so when the paving goes down, they won't have to dig up.
Yeah.
That's good.
How heavy is this battery when it's delivered? We're gonna have fresh asphalt over there, that'll be interesting.
I know.
I mentioned
Crane
it at
it
the
in.
last school board meeting, talking to
Helicopter.
Continental and what to do about that.
It's a good point. I don't know how fresh it will be by the time we get it.
All right. Any other school board comments tonight?
Just, I'd like to thank Superintendent O'Connell for all he did for the 250th. He's a great person to work with and was very helpful to getting that thing going, so.
Good.
Didn't Ray go in the tank?
I did, yes, and so did,
Many times.
so did Dan.
Dan Mitchell, yeah.
Dan, yep.
He did wear his tutu, I was much disappointed. I had a costume for both my trips through, but Dan did not have his tutu.
Ray was
This
Bucky
is taking a
from
disturbing
Bucky's.
turn.
He can't ruin that. He's got to be able to wear it on the roof. of the
I'm really
school.
glad to hear it went well.
That's what he said.
Both of them, the one over there and then the
Yeah.
powwow and stuff like that. So that's great.
The powwow said that they had 1,000 people.
Yeah.
go through the
Wow,
powwow.
really?
And we were not there Saturday, we were there Sunday, and there wasn't that many people there, but they're clicking, they're counting. But we had even more at Saturday.
Yeah, so my family, we went Saturday with my family, and for the, I don't know, 30-something hours we were there was a steady trickle of people coming in and out. So, I mean, it was nice. Family had a great time, local vendors and, small-time vendors for food trucks and merchandise, so, it was a great time. It was hot, but it was fun.
All right, with that, we're gonna kick our administration out of the meeting room. We do have some business in non-public tonight under RSA 91A3, A3C. And with that, I'll entertain a motion.
So moved.
So moved by Mr. Shoemaker, second by Mr. Plansky. Roll call vote. Mr. Peoples?
Yes.
Mr. Shoemaker?
Aye.
I'm an aye. Mr. Plansky?
Aye.
Mr. DeWitt?
Aye.
That carries 5-0.